My bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, June 24th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1045.
This is No Agenda.
Scouring the Sosh Nets, making toast, and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where toast isn't code for anything, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Oh, wait a minute. See, this is why people tune into the pre-show on the stream. Because they think it's like I'm Q. I'm dropping breadcrumbs. And I said I'm making toast. And I guess you did a whole toast song? Or what did you do when I was out?
I did. I have the toast song on the recorder.
Damn. Hopefully someone recorded it.
I don't think they need to. I can play it at will.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's fine. I'll get the... seriously, I'll get the recording. It's really okay. Well, I thought it was going to be a boring weekend. Until...
Okay, what made you think that?
I just figured it would just be the same, we can't find the children are being drugged, Hitler, Nazi, I thought would be a typical weekend for, today's news network coverage. But instead, we got interrupted. Every channel, everyone was flipping out. Yeah. Tom Arnold has tapes. Now, you probably didn't see any of this, did you?
I got a clip.
I have a couple of clips. I would love to hear your.
Well, my clip is about his threatening the president and not answering questions. In fact, I left the pauses in, but I've decided that because it's just dead air. You guys, he's coked up, and
yes.
I
think my clips prove that too.
Yeah, and he decides to he won't answer questions, so he just doesn't say anything, and the girl doesn't move it along. So I filled the space, the dead air.
Well, shall I just do my clips first, and then we can do your comedy?
No, you might as well
bit?
do mine. Then you can. My clip will be a good intro for yours.
All right. So the background to this, I don't know if it's explained in your CNN clip. The background is several months ago there was this announcement by Vice that Tom Arnold was going to do a show going after the Trump tapes. And it's like, and we saw I think we might have even played the trailer. It was funny. It's like, okay, the guy's going, and it's Vice, so fine. He's going after the tapes. These guys, Vice, by the way, is not a media organization. It's an advertising agency. So they know exactly what they're doing. And then I guess Arnold was tweeting out pictures of him and Michael Cohen and referring to tapes. And so somehow...
Oh, well, yeah, my clip is perfect.
Yeah, and I'll just say that somehow I believe, and I basically took a piece from Nicole Wallace because she's so annoying, and I thought the two of them together would be fun to listen to. But somehow there was this confusion thinking that apparently Tom Arnold has access to the PP tape in Russia or something like that. It was very confusing, and they were and it was all the primetime shows. It was on Pooper.
Idiots.
I mean, this guy came in, trolled everybody, as far as I'm concerned.
I think that is watching this interview, and he knows that Michael Cohen and I, when I leave here, I'm going to go back to the Regency with Michael Cohen. I want you to listen for a second. Just consider this, and I'm going to spend the weekend with Michael Cohen, and the president, Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump. I'm spending the weekend hanging out with Michael Cohen, and there's a lot going on. You've disrespected him and his family, and there's a lot going on. So Tom, he gets to sleep. That's good enough for me.
So, Tom, you are going to spend the weekend with Michael Cohen, the president's former attorney.
Yes. I have one person at a time. Feeling.
And by the way, we've seen this before. We've seen this. Who was the last guy who came on with Aaron Burnett on CNN who was drunk? I think there's a problem, ethically, there's a problem with bringing people on who are this wasted. He's totally wasted here. Even I can hear, and I'm not very good at recognizing that. Yeah. But, I mean, yes, he's clearly, it's kind of abusive.
Sater, all these people that were friends of him, and I've got one person at a time, people from Trump's world.
Did Michael Cohen tell you specifically that he is working with the authorities, that he has agreed to cooperate? with the authorities in their investigation?
I wouldn't. This is too important to me to F around. And you know the word I'm talking about. And I have a 5-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. And that's really why I'm doing the show. And we're having fun with these Trump tapes. But this is serious to me, Poppy. And I'm not effing around. No, I'm not saying you think I am.
Did Michael Cohen tell you specifically, really just yes or no, that he is cooperating with the authorities? Should charges be brought?
You didn't edit that. I saw that. I think it works better with a video, John.
Did he tell you? Do you not want to answer the question?
No.
You don't want to answer the question?
Right.
Okay.
Because...
Will you let us know what you learn over the weekend, since we're spending the weekend with Michael Cohen?
No.
Thank you for being here, Tom Arnold.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow. I kind of like the incoherent version more that he had with Nicole Wallace. Well, actually not incoherent. He was just completely mumbling, just spouting stuff off, and to me it was very entertaining.
Well, I didn't think about this until you mentioned it. By the way, that was my edit.
Oh, okay. I saw someone else did a version of that. That you mentioned, which is I didn't think about it, but now that you mention it, yeah, it's abuse. This is another example of this guest abuse. You get a guy on who's coked to the gills, can barely talk, and he's talking. He just can't keep a coherent thought. He's so gone, and then you just and then you let him sit there silently for that period of time, asking that question that he won't answer, and he just sits there looking at the camera and be freaked out, rubbing his beard.
It's really bad. You're right. It's horrible. It's unprofessional.
And here's MSNBC, the great NBC news organization, abusing him some more with Nicole Wallace. This is the intro.
What's your mission now?
Oh, my mission is to get him out of there because he's so incompetent and is so dangerous. And every day, this week with the children being ripped from their parents, I mean, he's obviously a racist and he has racist people around him. And he is cruel and he lies and just the trauma that he's putting on all of America every day. And he's just changing everything about what we are as a country. It is so unsafe. What America represents. And, eventually it's going to be China and Russia on our borders. Oh! I mean, I know it seems crazy.
But just stock up. China and Russia are going to be on our borders.
Huh.
This is why I like this interview
China
better.
and Russia on our borders. I mean, I know it seems crazy, but he's just changing everything about the fabric of our country. But it's just god-awful. And so, I'm glad that my friend Michael Cohen is with us.
Okay, he's with us like he's dead and he's a spirit. My friend Michael Cohen is with us.
He's watching us now from above.
So, of course, we want to, Tom, what do you have? What do you have on these tapes? At this point, nowhere in the interview has it really been explained that he has this TV show. But what do you have on, what kind of tapes? Do you have the PP tape?
What is the power? What is on the tapes that you're going to release on your vice?
Well, the interesting thing about Donald Trump, he's this president, I mean, he's been on tape. The stuff that's available to the public already should be disqualified for a guy to rent a car, for instance. I mean, he started day one.
I like this logic. The stuff he said that's on tapes that we've heard should disqualify him from renting a car. I don't know, like China with the social ranking or something? Maybe.
No,
He might not get the Hertz Gold line, but I think he can still get a car.
By calling it faking his own voice to say his father had given him his money and he was really a billionaire.
Now, here's a man who, in his inebriation, is just letting it all spout out. That's really what's happening here. And it's just he's reaching back to before the election, before the real campaign started, just anything he can throw out there It's just spewing out of him.
Right.
And
it's kind of sad.
He's admitted to walking in the Miss Teen Universe pageant to see them naked and bragging about that on Howard Stern. So the stuff that's for public consumption already is just horrible. And the tape that I heard, he uses the N word and he calls his son Eric the R word for.
Where's that tape? We want to hear him call his own son a retard. That tape we want.
People with it's just discussing sexual harassment things to the women on the set of The Apprentice.
All right, so when I heard this, I knew immediately he's got absolutely nothing. This is going to be a series, 10, 12 episodes. We'll have little drips and drabs. We'll keep expecting something to pop at the end. It'll be like Geraldo's Safe, the Al Capone safe. He's not going to find any tape. Mark Burnett is not giving up any tapes. So he's got something, but most of it's going to be Howard Stern stuff, I'm sure. And here he is, just a little more about the president.
And also, the irony is Donald Trump is an illegitimate president. He did not win the election without help from Russia. You will see this. And he knows he's illegitimate. Every time you mention it, he freaks out. And that's karma.
Okay. I'm not quite sure how the karma fits into it. Now, another one of my favorite topics, which Nicole picks up. She's the one that's every afternoon on MSNBC. She's like, one of these people's going to flip. They're going to flip. They're going to flip against him. Flip, going to flip.
And now Donald Trump's like, are you talking about, who's Michael Cohen? What? He's talking about lawyer? I don't know that guy. He's a nice guy. He's so full of it. And finally, he realized it, and his wife helped him realize it. He's like, oh my God, I got to take care of my family because this guy is the worst. And so he's taking care of his whole family.
But does that include flipping? Did he tell you he was going to flip?
What do you mean flipping?
Is he going to cooperate with prosecutors? He's in a lot of trouble. He could be facing jail. Did he say anything that made you think he was going to cooperate with prosecutors?
He's going to do. Here's what I know. He's going to take care of his family, his country, the rest of us Jews. Donald Trump is not. He's done.
Jews are safe.
He knows that Donald Trump does not care about him. He does not care about his family, and it's over. He also doesn't want me. He doesn't want to be harassed by Donald Trump because he is the president of the United States still, and he probably has a bunch of dudes.
But
Michael Cohen is good.
The president probably has a bunch of dudes, John. Just so you know, don't harass the president. He's got a bunch of dudes.
He's harassed by Donald Trump because he is the president of the United States still, and he probably has a bunch of dudes. Yeah. But Michael Cohen is going to take care of his family and his country first. That's all you need to know. Think about that.
Yeah, I'll think about that.
Think about it.
Think
about it.
So no. Now, here's where you can clearly hear there's confusion about the video.
Let me. I've got two more questions for you. One, we know that what was seized from his offices included a lot of audio and recordings. Did he promise to share those with you?
To share with me. Michael Cohen, first of all, does not work for Vice. I want to make that clear. He's not getting anybody. He's probably broke. I shouldn't even say that. Michael Cohen did not make any promises with me.
But you're working on it. You're trying to get.
Oh, I love it because he has all the tapes, and in fact, some of those have my name is on those.
Oh man. All right, final clip. Of course, he was married to Roseanne Barr, so we should probably bring up the ex-wife.
Let me get my last question. You started out your first answer. You talked about your ex-wife, Roseanne.
Yes.
How did she end up so far on the other side of the Trump question from you?
I don't know. We were divorced 24 years ago. I think that she got into, like a lot of people in this country, and I spent a lot of time the last few months talking to her daughter, and you see a lot of these. It happens in my family in Iowa. We're talking about it in the wake of Andy McCabe, the FBI agent. His mother-in-law is from Iowa, from his family, and his wife, and his mother-in-law is one of my best.
He says, I think she got into, and then he goes off onto a tangent and a shaggy dog story.
Yes, and it comes back around.
Does he ever come back to, I think she got into blank?
Yep, he does.
In Iowa, we're talking about it in the wake of Andy McCabe, the FBI agent. His mother-in-law is from Iowa, from his family, and his wife, and his brother-in-law is one of my best friends. She's a Trump guy. People just get sucked in there. Now, Roseanne is full on with the Nazis and with the racist, and it's just crazy.
Just so you know, Roseanne is full on with the Nazis and the racists and the crazy.
Wow.
Just so you know.
I don't know how you get in there. I think mental health and
she's
Trump
mental.
and putting that stuff. It's rigged. They're against us. And they also they disseminate so much information. I did a deep dive into the information that they specifically, it's not just Fox News, but it's Fox News and the internet stuff. And it's like a drug.
The internet is a drug.
Donald Trump is the kingpin. He is perpetuating it. That's why he has to go too. He's the kingpin of this drug that people are just keeping people sick in this country. He's got to go.
We want you to come back when your Vice special is getting ready to air.
It's a series, Nicole. It is a series. I love you.
It's a series, Nicole. We won't get to it in episode 1. It's a series. I'm Tom Arnold. I will get rid of that scourge, Donald Trump. Not like my ex-wife who was with the Nazis.
They're going to have to cancel that series.
Oh, Vice? No. They're not going to cancel that.
Well, you heard it on this show.
Really? You think they're going to cancel it? Why?
If he keeps acting like this.
This is come on, this is what these guys thrive on. They love this. They always have stupid stuff like this. That's kind of their business model.
It's not as bad as, you're making it sound like they're just running another version of Jackass.
Vice? Yeah, I'd say Vice is running hello, Tom Freston is the guy who's shepherding this whole deal, former CEO of MTV Networks. Yeah, it's an advertising agency.
Yeah, no, I understand the advertising agency aspect, but this guy, the problem with guys like this is they turn on everybody. And
unless you got some dope.
Well, yeah, if you keep him supplied with something, with the stuff he needs.
Yeah, then we're okay. Then we're good to go. Yeah. But I find it a little sad it was such emotional rape of this guy. And he was on Lawrence O'Donnell. Everybody had him on, and kind of half smiling, but let's let him go on and on and on and on. Oh, beautiful, great.
Don't they understand, especially MSNBC, that this is just ruination of their credit? I mean, what credibility do they have? But this isn't helping. And if you listen to the guy, he's incoherent.
Yeah,
and they're taking him seriously because he may have some goods on Trump. That's how hard up they are. Yeah,
I think so. I truly think so. Flip. And because if you listen to all of the interviews he did, he really, Michael Cohen's really not giving him anything. Michael Cohen's not really cooperating. It's just trolling. He trolled for his TV show. They have to let it go on. It would be stupid not to. It would be stupid to cancel this. This is great.
I'm going to stick with my theory.
I don't see why Vice would have to stop. Why not?
For one thing, he's got nothing. He sold them a bill of goods and it's going to make them look stupider than they are.
Oh, he's not producing this. They just brought him as the host. He has nothing.
He had some sales pitch to do with this, or he wouldn't be involved at all. I mean, this guy does. No one's having a meeting of executives and saying, "Well, who are we going to have to be the host?" I've got an idea. Tom Arnold, that's the guy.
You don't know.
I don't buy it.
Hey, David Hasselhoff brought down the wall. So
yeah,
if you take
Germany,
that line of
still
thinking,
might think that.
if you take that line of thinking, you never know what Tom Arnold could do.
Yeah, no, he had to be the guy that pushing the sales of this. Him and a bunch of guys. Again, just see about 3 executives and him all with a huge pile of white powder.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great idea, Tom. Can you do it? Oh, yeah, Cohen's a great friend of mine. I hang out with him.
Probably. Anyway, it made the weekend a little more entertaining because it started off like this.
Well, the images suggest those of concentration camps, families being cut apart.
I know children are being marched away to showers. I know they're being marched away to showers, or they're being told they are, just like the Nazis had said that they were taking people to showers and then they never came back.
Look, bottom line, Donald Trump increasingly looks like Hitler in Nazi Germany. These look like concentration camps.
It's rewarding breaking our immigration laws.
Unusual punishment, John. John, I said this yesterday, but increasingly Donald Trump is turning this nation into Nazi Germany and turning these into concentration camps.
What's happening is very American in that this is how the country was founded. This is what happened 76 years ago to Japanese Americans in internment camps.
Now, look, I know we're not Nazi Germany, all right? But there is a commonality there.
I knew it would be controversial, but I felt a warning flare was necessary.
You're so concerned about what's going on.
Yeah.
And all of us are so concerned. We see these heartbreaking images, and it's so awful.
And this is a policy that is inhumane, indecent, un-American, completely dictatorial. And like I said yesterday, they are the tactics that have been used through history by the worst purveyors of pure evil, including slave traders, including Nazis, including terrorists. And now this great country is using them as well, and we should all be ashamed.
There are commentators like Joe Scarborough bringing up the N-word, Nazi.
Oh, the N-word has changed. We have a change.
Good.
Yes, we have
Good
a change.
catch.
Yes, the N-word stands for Nazi. We can finally use the N-word again.
Well, I have about 3 clips. I don't have about I have 3 clips and a commentary because there's something I've realized that. I mean, for one thing, the thing we're noticing is that Trump signed the thing saying, okay, we're stopping this, which is what they wanted him to do. But apparently they have so many things planned, protests and demonstrations.
And it's I found that actually March On, the same organization that did the kids' march with the against the guns, it's planned. It's done. They are running the march on the 30th. That's happening no matter what.
And the point of their march is
to get Democrats elected.
Ah, there you go. let's play these 3 clips. Yeah, I think people are getting annoyed by this. I think it's going to hurt Democrats personally. But let's go with all hell breaking loose Trump rap.
Tonight, President Trump at a rally in Las Vegas, lashing out against Democrats for being too soft on immigration.
Because they think immigration is being weak on the border, which is therefore allowing tremendous crime to come into our country. They think that that's a good issue for them. I don't think being weak on the border, being pathetically weak on the border, I don't think that's a good issue.
The president's zero-tolerance policy igniting a brewing backlash against some of his staff. Last night, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders kicked out of this Virginia restaurant while at dinner with family and friends. The owner telling the Washington Post she asked her to leave on moral grounds, including separating immigrant families.
The separation of illegal...
That was pretty interesting, actually. How?
Well, I did. If you did a little research on the whole thing, it actually stems from the gay staff.
Ah, okay. No, I didn't know. I didn't realize this.
Yeah, the gay staff was...
Wait a minute, gays refusing to serve someone? What? Mind sufficiently blown, sir.
So the gay staff apparently bitched to... There's 2 chefs, a man and a woman, and they could be gay too, but bitched to them saying that she was there. And they didn't want to serve to her, although they were serving. They just gave her hors d'oeuvres and stuff, but they were complaining to the chef who was running the place at the time. And so the chef doesn't know what to do, and he can't make a decision, which is always a bad sign. So he calls the owner. The owner drives over to make sure, because no one's absolutely positive it was Sarah Sanders. And so she comes over and then has a talk with her in the back patio, saying that it's against the principles of the restaurant, that they, this whatever, they get some song and dance, and then Sanders agreed to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was the staff. It was the staff that didn't want to serve her.
It's into, well, before you move on, before we finish I'll do it right after this clip is done.
Alien families is the product of the same legal loopholes that Democrats refuse to close.
Today, Sanders tweeting, "Last night I was told by the owner of Red Hen in Lexington, Virginia to leave because I work for POTUS, and I politely left. Her actions say far more about her than about me."
I want a nation to treat every person.
I have to interject. The funny thing, this was written up in the kind of an interesting publication called Heavy. The staff, because it was a gay issue that they were bitching about, and it was over the Trump's refusal to let transgenders in the army.
So it had nothing to do with the kids in cages.
No. And no.
Oh, this is misreported.
But I think the woman who owned the restaurant she's the one who introduced that topic.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really misreported. It just was underreported.
Oh.
But I was reading this about complaining about transgenders not being able to serve in the military. And I'm thinking, when did the Democrats and ever be so pro-military and they all want to serve and go to war?
No.
Did that happen?
Oh, stop. This is where you're making a thinking mistake. The gays do not like the trans. They don't like. They're not saying gays in the military. Don't ask, don't tell, all that. No, trans. They hate trans people. In general, there is a huge rift between gay men and trans MF or FM. Doesn't matter which way they're going. So of course they're going to say that. It's actually quite rude and aggressive of them.
I find the whole thing to be off center. But let's finish this clip. I'm sorry.
By the owner of Red Hen in Lexington, Virginia, to leave because I work for POTUS, and I politely left. Her actions say far more about her than about me.
I want a nation to treat every person with dignity and compassion and fairness.
Her father, Mike Huckabee, coming to her defense, tweeting, "Bigotry on the menu at Red Hen Restaurant in Lexington, Virginia. Or you can ask for the hate plate, and appetizers are small plates for small minds." But hours earlier, the former governor posting this tweet saying, Nancy Pelosi introduces her campaign committee for the take back of the House. Shame! Shame! Sanders is not the first member of the administration to face public outrage. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen heckled last week at a Mexican restaurant. If kids don't eat in peace, you don't eat in peace!
You can't do it through an executive order.
Tonight, inside the White House, sources telling ABC News officials are suffering from whiplash, blaming White House aide Stephen Miller for pushing the zero-tolerance policy.
I didn't like the sight or the feeling of families being separated.
And now are left scrambling to implement the executive order stopping the separation of families.
And Tara now joins us from the White House. And Tara, sources are telling you members of Congress may have new legislation to fix an issue with the president's executive order.
Whit, senior White House and Hill officials tell me that if a larger immigration bill fails to pass in the Congress next week, they're preparing a more narrow bill that would allow children to stay with their parents in detention centers for more than 20 days. A vote on that bill could come as early as Tuesday night.
Oh, jeez. It's so stupid, this whole thing. And you were right about I was thinking that the next outrage would be migrant children drugged without consent. And besides the fact that news media can't discuss pharmaceuticals in that manner, this also really started in 2010 during Obama's years. And there's lawsuits that deal specifically with 2010 and forcibly injecting children with psychotropic drugs.
Yeah.
So we're not going to.
Nobody wants to talk about that because it's not Trump.
We're not going to bring that up. And Kirstjen Nielsen the protesters went to her house. And we're in front of her house playing the sound of the crying children and chanting and all of this, of course, is encouraged by members of Congress.
I'm going to put up a list here of Democratic colleagues of yours who have called for the resignation of Kirstjen Nielsen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, in light of what we've seen happen over these last few days. Are you going to add your name to those ranks? Do you think she should step aside?
Oh, absolutely. She should step aside. No. You know, I have no sympathy for these people that are in this administration who, know it's wrong what they're doing on so many fronts. But they tend to not want to confront this president or even leave. But they know what they're doing is wrong. And I want to tell you, for these members of his cabinet who remain and try to defend him, they're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. They're not going to be able to stop at a gas station. They're not going to be able to shop at a department store. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you. This is wrong. This is unconscionable. We can't keep doing this to children.
That's right. Just go and harass everybody.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know.
That's politics. Go and harass everybody at home. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton raised $1.5 million to, quote, help families separated at the border.
Oh, she's a genius.
Which went to all the chip-in organizations.
Yeah, sure.
But I think it's important because she needed to show that she could still raise money. And that's why I think she jumped all over this. Right? To show, hey, I still got it.
Yeah, because she's still running.
I still got it.
She's going to run again. The Democrats have gotten nobody. Now, here's a clip. This is the weird after Trump. Trump signed off on it, and in this particular clip, which may have been even a local clip, but maybe it was a network, but it had Kamala Harris, depends on what part of the state you're from, who's our senator, who wants to be the next president. She's the black woman. She's not that bright. And she says what she says in this particular clip, she comes out and says, is going to disqualify her. She's never even going to get nominated. But this is, again, everybody going next. Trump signed off, so they ended the whole thing. But no. Everyone's still going nuts.
The immigration controversy has ignited not only protests, but also efforts to help migrant families at the center of the crisis. Here's Carter Evans.
Protesters flocked to the federal building in Los Angeles today to donate toys to children who were ripped from their parents at the border.
It's a pretty overwhelming response.
On Friday night, they rallied outside the federal jail downtown where detainees have been housed. About 100 separated children are believed to be somewhere in the city. In San Diego, protests continued downtown, an effort to pressure the Trump administration to reverse its zero-tolerance immigration policy.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Along the border yesterday, Senator Kamala Harris visited a detention center where immigrants are being held.
These mothers have shared their stories, their personal stories that are a story of a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government.
Back at the rally in L.A., Maria Vasquez says she knows what the children are going through. You left your family in Guatemala. You spent months in detention. You now have been granted asylum. Is it all worth it?
Yes, it's all worth it, and I'm not one of the person that Trump thinks I am.
This group is now planning to bring its protest to the border and deliver the toys they've collected to one of the detention centers. Meanwhile, California state regulators are beginning inspections of those facilities. Elaine?
Carter Evans, thank you. A large number of migrants are trying to escape poverty and violence in the Central American country of El Salvador. Omar Villafranca is there with the story of two.
All right. Okay, you can kill that. The more I'm watching this, I keep getting the sense, because of a clip we played the last show, that there's some cover-up going on of something else that began during the Obama administration.
I have a thought about that. It's not necessarily a cover-up, but there is a real issue. The Office of Refugee and Resettlement, I think it is, ORR, they have about $1.5 billion in contracts that are written out to mainly, and you've seen a lot of them in news reporting, to religious groups, churches. That's why you see clergy showing up, talking about, this can't be. Because, a lot of this it's all commercial business. So, we got to stop it because it's an outrage, but it will come at the expense of everybody we hooked up with these, it's $300 to $500 a night and fees for taking care of the refugees, resettling them. And they're the ones, by the way, that
I think this is part of a bigger scam.
Yes.
And
we've talked about this specifically.
Yeah, no, you actually brought it up some time back.
Yeah.
And I was hearing this other stuff, and this is the clip. The next clip I want to play is a short clip, but it reminds me of the clip that we played on the last show about 8 months ago about the kid from Guatemala that was in a foster home, and then they brought him back. Now they ship him back to Guatemala to his other family, and he was really settled in. And then I heard this clip, and I got now I'm getting very skeptical. Here, this is the immigration kid in NYC.
But there are still more than 1,800 at other agencies, separated from their parents. Among them, 8-year-old Danny. He's in New York. His mother being detained in El Paso, facing charges after crossing the border illegally. His aunt, Nila Serrano, trying to reunite them.
El Paso Processing Center has not responded.
We've already bought the bus ticket, ready to go. She is not even aware that she's not coming home.
The fog of uncertainty fueling frustration and calls for expedited reunions like this one in Baltimore Friday. Others who've been deported, like these families in Honduras, taking solace in seeing their loved ones. While in Texas, buses drop off young mothers and their children at this station daily. They wear ankle monitors as they wait for word on their asylum cases, and a nationwide debate rages on.
Now, what I'm thinking here, they were detained in El Paso, and now all of a sudden the kid's in New York.
Yes.
Now, how did they get shuffled off to New York like overnight? This seems like child thievery, and they're all ending up in these foster homes in various systems that are getting government money, and you get paid per head.
Yes, per night or per day.
Per head, per night. So you're getting money. So, I mean, this seems like they're just stealing these kids on purpose, and this isn't something Trump started.
There you go. I'll repeat the number, John. $1.5 billion a year for these organizations who took these, as you call them, kids. They were 18, 19-year-old dudes look like. But, okay, maybe they're 16, 17. These were boys. These were men, young men with ankle monitors. Why the ankle monitors is not from ICE. It's not from Department of Homeland Security. It's from these organizations who are shuttling the kids, putting them in these different places. Remember that Obama specifically wanted to bring a lot of Syrians to Detroit. I mean, this placement program has been in place for a while now, and $1.5 billion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, and so especially for cronies. So this is nothing new, and the only reason it's gotten so much attention recently is because of this. Because one thing, they wanted to get Miller, who's always a target of the Trump.
You mean Goebbels?
And they started this you can't make any mistakes. What's it called? A zero tolerance policy. Which makes everybody have to get into the system instead of just the select ones that they would have to shuffle around, like that. I would suspect that kid from Guatemala and then this kid in New York. But the fact that there's a kid in New York and a mom in El Paso, how did the kid get to New York? Why is he in New York? How is this the same as putting the kids in cages? It's not the same at all. This is some underlying scam that has been going on for quite some time.
So the data I have here is ORR. ORR is not a government agency. ORR is just a nonprofit who receives funding from the government, and they award about an average of $1.4 billion per year since 2002. It has 26 immigrant shelters that it runs, and the ones that we've seen on the news, the Walmart Supercenter in Brownsville. It's about $256 per night per person is what they get. But this is a very well established big network, and you said they're stealing babies, they're stealing children. That's interesting you put it that way, because who knows what these guys are doing? What's the oversight? Who has oversight? Who has been looking at them at all? Maybe they're, you say cover up. Yeah, maybe they're all scrambling. Oh, shit, we didn't track these kids. Oh, I knew we forgot something.
I mean, it sounds like human trafficking at the base.
Yeah, it does. Well, maybe it will come out. I don't know, but it seems like
I think Trump was just flat-footed, because I think the corruption is deep into all these systems that have been in place since, I don't know, it may have begun before Obama. It could have been Bush.
Probably.
But you don't know.
Abuses at any border is not something new for any administration, I would say. But luckily, we had the celebrities out in force and entertainment tonight to sum it all up, to tell us how we should think.
Stars are speaking out on President Donald Trump's controversial zero-tolerance immigration policy that has resulted in a reported 2,000 children being separated from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border during a 6-week period in April and May. Chrissy Teigen and John Legend were two of the first celebs to voice their outrage, penning a letter they shared via Instagram on the president's birthday last week. Quote, John and I are outraged to see and hear the horror stories of immigrant families seeking asylum and refuge in America being ripped apart due to the inhumane policies of the Trump administration. Sarah Bareilles also took to social media, tweeting, quote, this is beyond inhumane. On Father's Day, Anne Hathaway captioned this shot, my dad and I are disgusted and rocked to our core by the current administration's shocking decision to separate asylum-seeking immigrant families, the consequence of which is creating orphans with living parents. Sophia Bush encouraged her followers to take action, tweeting, call your senators. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel wrote, quote, I hope that our president and his minions remember that children should be with their parents, not in detention centers. Reese Witherspoon called the policy cruel and immoral and deplorable. Alyssa Milano said, the fight for humanity is on. And Ellen DeGeneres tweeted, I don't care what your politics are, we can't be a country that separates children from their parents.
Yeah. So, that just kind of fueled more outrage. Just everyone all pissed off, just on the Sosh Nets, just yelling at each other on television. I got one final one from MSNBC. This is Peter Emerson, who tried to bring in the Hitler meme and it kind of screwed it up.
Peter, I want to get your reaction to a tweet by President Trump yesterday. He wrote, we must maintain a strong southern border. We cannot allow our country to be overrun by illegal immigrants as the Democrats tell their phony stories of sadness and grief, hoping it will help them in the elections. Obama and others had the same pictures and did nothing about it. I don't know where to begin. First of all, they were not the same pictures.
I don't know where to begin. Well, it's true, but okay.
What is your response?
Well, it's the response that anyone who's read history would give. That is, you have to begin the process of turning people into animals by dehumanizing, sorry to mispronounce.
Dehumanizing. You see, he's trying to say you got to, like the Jews are subhuman, they're animals. Yeah. That's what he was trying to say, but he got messed up there.
Then he choked.
Yeah. What did not help, and this was very curious to me, is Melania Trump's jacket. And so she wore this jacket. And the biggest offense, quite honestly, is it was a Zara jacket from last season. I mean, please. That was insulting. But it said, I really don't care, do you, on the back. And it was, I think you could see that in two ways. And the minute the news hit, I ran off to the Sosh Nets to take a look. And indeed, a large portion of people thinking, it doesn't care about the fake news, mainstream media. A large portion of people saying doesn't care about the children. They literally read it that way.
Sure. That's a classic dementia B break.
Now, the crazy thing about it is that her spokeshole said, no, there's no message. See, that was the mistake. Like, no, there's no message. And then the president comes out later and tweets, it's clearly a message towards the fake news media. So they got to coordinate.
They stepped in it.
But this can only end one way: violence. Someone's gonna get.
Well, that's what Rush Limbaugh says that.
Someone's gonna get shot again.
Rush Limbaugh has been saying that for over a week. Mm-hmm. And he's blaming the mainstream media because they're the ones that are fanning the flames by running all these stories that could be just as easily ignored. They're not that, it's not like it's breaking news. She wore a jacket, and they're just looking for trouble, and they're looking to get stuff. Yeah, there's going to be violence. Somebody's going to get shot.
So they're fueling it. But what's happening with the Sosh Nets? That's where people are really losing their minds. And I have two short clips. One about the Sosh Nets in general, then one about Trump, I didn't play these on the last show because I had the piece of interview from Jaron Lanier, who wrote the book about you have to delete. Now, he says something really interesting here that I hadn't considered about the algorithms of social media and how and why people are going insane when they take to Twitter. So you have the machine. The machine is 24/7. It's the news networks. It's the news programs. It's print. It's the Time magazine cover with the child who was never separated from her mother, which, activates a whole different group of people. But the algorithms do something which I hadn't considered, and that, I think, explains why we're in the trouble we're in today.
In traditional behaviorism, you would give an animal or a person a little treat like candy or maybe an electric shock, and you'd go back and forth between positive and negative feedback. And when researchers try to determine whether positivity or negativity is more powerful, they're roughly at parity. They're both important. But the difference with social media is that the algorithms that are following you respond very quickly. They're looking for the quick responses. And the negative responses, like getting startled or scared or irritated or angry, tend to rise faster than the positive responses, like building trust or feeling good. Those things rise more slowly. So the algorithms naturally catch the negativity and amplify it and introduce negative people to each other in all of this. And so what this does is it means that the algorithms discover there's more engagement possible, say by promoting ISIS and promoting the Arab Spring. And so ISIS gets more mileage, or promoting the Ku Klux Klan than Black Lives Matter. Now, in the big picture, it's not true that negativity is more powerful. But if you're doing this very rapid measurement of human impulses instead of accumulated human behavior, then it's the negativity that gets amplified. So you tend to have elections that are more driven by rancor and abuse, and you tend to have outcomes that are kind of crazy.
I hadn't considered that the algorithm would catch the negative engagement, not recognize, well, whether it recognize it, of course it knows that it's negative because it goes and looks for more of it. It has no opinion in if that's good or bad. You don't buy it?
I'm not buying any of that. What he said, I think, is total bullshit.
Why?
I don't believe there's an algorithm that does that.
Oh, it's a very simple algorithm. Of course, if you're responding back and forth and it sees this, it's just going to find more people to surface in your feed that have, similar opinions with people like you, or opposed to people like you. I see that. That I think is the core of what it actually does. It's not much smarter than that, which is why the advertising sucks, because that's the level of it. It's very basic. This is a very basic script to make this run.
Yeah.
And
I know what you're saying. I know you can keep saying I'm still not buying it.
Yeah, you're just not providing an argument as to why it's not happening.
Well, you don't have to provide an argument why it's not happening.
Oh, okay.
That's silly.
All right. I'm sorry.
Jeez.
What kind of argument is that?
It's like saying, hey, it's not raining in here right now. It's actually sunny and 90. Well, really? Prove it.
Yeah, but this is more subjective.
Well, it just makes it worse. I don't have to provide an argument that it's not happening.
Okay. Well, I think it is happening. I really do. And I think,
well, you have to provide the argument that it is happening, and the argument is just Lanier's thoughts on it. And I know you've said it, so you have more experience, and you can throw that in my face. You should have, but you didn't.
You just cut me off. I was about to do it. I was about to do it. You wouldn't let me cut you off.
I beat you to it.
Yeah,
but I don't see that on Twitter.
Oh my God! Totally.
Twitter. You sign up for the people that you want to follow. They don't throw it in your face.
That's wrong. Do you ever look at your feed? Just your regular feed? That's not true. That feed is manipulated. Are you kidding me?
What do you mean my regular feed?
So if you go to Twitter, just your regular home Twitter, not your mentions, but just home.
Yeah.
You're seeing things are being inserted there from people you do not follow. And it's inserted from people favoriting tweets that you do follow. Oh, do you even know how this works?
I know how it works, and I'm not saying what he says, which is a compounding of the negative. I don't see any compounding of the negative.
You also do not engage like other people are engaging. You don't tweet back and forth with people. You don't.
I don't want to get into it. There's no reason to get into a silly argument.
Which is why you have no algorithmic engagement.
It's nice to think that you can be so paranoid as to think that this is all the problem.
I'm not paranoid.
But I know what Lanier is.
He's not paranoid.
He has to sell his book.
Well, he's selling a book that has nothing to do with paranoia. No,
I'm just saying that I'm not. I know what you're saying. I ran into one. Here's the situation.
You can say until the cows come home, I'm not seeing that. That's a Dvorak trick. There is no evidence of. Sure, That's your trick. You're not seeing it. You're not seeing it.
It's a funny way. It's cool that you would put it that way. I think that's an interesting sleight of hand to say it's a Dvorak trick, but it's just the way I feel about it. Now, let me give you an example. Here's what happened. You saw the Tracy Ullman clip.
Yes, of course.
I have a copy of it here. It's short, but she does this, and I think we should play it. But I played it, and I said I thought it was ironic that even though I don't apparently just ever say anything on Twitter, I said it was ironic that this was being promoted by Corden. At least that's where I got it. It was retweeted by
James Corden. Yeah, well, that's kind of Corden. Like I'm English, therefore I hang out with real English comedians.
Something like that. Yeah. So Corden plays this. Yeah, well, that's probably the real element. But Corden played it proudly, and I said this is ironic because he's the kind of people that are sitting around the
doing this exact thing.
Yeah, or the kind of guests that he has and encourages. And so some guy tweets me. I blocked him after this, by the way. It's another thing.
Yeah, another reason why the algos don't kick in for you.
He says, "Wow, whoosh, right over your head."
Oh, because is there some bigger joke that we didn't get?
No, there's not. But he's Dementia A, so he saw a bigger joke.
Jeez.
And we can play the clip, and I'll tell you what he thought the bigger joke was and why it really makes all the difference, and the rest of it is just kind of a cover for the real joke.
This support group is for people who are so woke that they are finding it impossible to have any fun at all.
I should probably put it into context. Tracy Ullman is acting as if she is a leader of a group similar to AA. You're sitting in a circle and you're all sharing and talking about your issues on this one particular topic.
We have somebody new with us this week, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Oscar. I think, like a lot of you guys, for me it started with the little things. Signing an online petition, going to a march. Well, I mean, before I knew it, I was writing to The Guardian about LGBT representation in the Harry Potter books.
Which is shocking, by the way. All right, Lily, we've all read your blog. Don't worry, Oscar. You've come to the right place. All of the young people in this room are ruining their lives by being overly virtuous.
That's actually a microaggression to say young people because it carries subconscious bias towards the elderly.
Actually, what you're doing is denying agency to the elderly, which is arguably much worse.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You see, it's a slippery slope. 1 minute you're carrying a reusable water bottle, fine, and the next minute you're arguing that water is racist.
Oh my God, is water racist?
No, it's just an example. Right, how did you guys get on with the homework that I set you?
Guys isn't an especially inclusive term.
Not now, Jamie.
By homework, do you mean having to watch that old people sitcom?
It's called Friends, Lily, and you were supposed to watch it and enjoy it.
Well, I tried, but I found it deeply problematic.
Why?
Well, there's the homophobia, the transphobia, the fatism and the slut-shaming, and could Chandler be any more annoying?
You can't go through your 20s worrying about every aspect of everything. You have to pick your battles. And just remember that it doesn't really matter, because by the time you hit your 30s, most of you are going to be massively right-wing anyway. Have any of you started to think that maybe poor people don't deserve benefits?
No.
Well, watch out for that one, because that's how it starts. Look, I understand this has all been a bit much for some of you, so let's take 5 and have a hobnob.
I find the word hobnob very phallocentric.
Fuck off, Jamie.
Good old Tracy.
Now, the
second richest comedian in show business after Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, I think she's got much more money than Seinfeld.
You think? I mean, that because Simpsons, right? She pretty much owns a piece of the Simpsons.
Deal. For people that don't know, Tracy Ullman, when she did the Tracy Ullman show, I think it was on network ABC, maybe.
It was Fox. Fox.
Oh, it's Fox. She had a deal that anyone who wanted to develop a skit or a bit or anything, if they took it to another level, in other words, developed it and made it a show, she would get like 2 to 5% of it.
Yeah.
And The Simpsons came out of it.
Give me 2% of The Simpsons. Holy crap!
And so she ended up, well, besides being a never-ending bonanza, she and all the residuals, I think she really racked it up. I think she went way beyond Seinfeld.
Really? Oh, that's possible. Yeah.
I think she's close to being
now
a billionaire.
That I think about it, because all different languages are so easy to do. Yeah, she should be in the $1 billion range.
Yeah.
I met her once when she was still doing when she went from comedian to singing career.
I've always loved to meet her. She seems like she's very funny.
She's incredibly kind. But even then, I was 19, and I think she's probably 10 years older than I am. And she was very nice. One of my first TV shows.
Well, anyway, back to this bit where she says you're all going to become right-wingers when you're 30 because you're going to think that the people shouldn't be getting a stipend. That is according to this guy, that's what I didn't get because that's what it's really all about. And that's
wow. That's taking it a bit far.
And because it wasn't a criticism of these idiots. It was a criticism of people who all of a sudden don't think that the elderly should get a stipend, and they're creeps. And so I'm thinking, when I went and looked at his feed, the guy's just unbelievable.
Yeah, you blocked him.
Yeah, I blocked him.
Now, do you ever just a question on the blocking? Since you have successfully controlled your algos to not engage you. Do you tweet back to somebody first? When you say like #blocked, do you wait before actually blocking them to make sure they can see it? Because I do.
I've thought about that.
I do. I always, because I if you remove that person's tweet, then I don't know where mine goes. So I put blocked for an hour.
What I used to do was type in blocked and then block them. But then I said, wait a minute, they don't even know this. So why would I even do #blocked? So then I evolved into putting #blocked and not blocking them, just like I should.
That's
block,
good too. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's confusing. That's confusing. Yeah.
And then when I block people now, I just block them. I don't even care about feedback or letting them know. I don't care. What difference does it make?
That's right.
Half of them don't even notice.
Okay. So the second clip from Jared Lanier is about Trump and the algos.
I have never known Trump, but I have met him a few times over a fairly long period, over 30 years, actually, through different circumstances. And I will say that while I never would have voted for him as president, and I always thought he was somewhat untrustworthy and a bit of a showman and a bit of a scammer, he never lost himself and became so strangely insecure and so weirdly irritable until he had his own addiction, in this case to Twitter. And it's really damaged him. I mean, I view Trump in a way as a victim. Oh, yeah, absolutely. His character has been really damaged by his Twitter addiction.
Because of the reaction he gets from each tweet.
Yeah. So, you know what happens in addiction is the addict becomes hooked not just on the good part of the addiction experience, but on the whole cycle. So a gambler is not just addicted to winning, but to this whole process where they mostly lose. And in the same way, the Twitter addict or the social media addict becomes addicted to this engagement, which is often unpleasant, where they're engaged in these, really abusive exchanges with other human beings. And only once in a while is that, you can watch Trump, like every once in a while there will be this tweet where somebody likes him, and that's when he gets his little, we call it in the trade the dopamine hit. That's what it's called in Facebook, for instance.
What trade?
He gets this little dopamine hit, and then he dives in for more negativity and things, then he gets it again. And you can see the addiction playing out.
Yeah.
I like that he called Trump a victim of Twitter addiction.
It's cute.
Again, Twitter addiction.
It's interesting. I mean, the guy's amusing at this level, I have to say. In the trade, we call it this. Like, what trade was he talking about?
Well, if you saw the whole interview in context, then because he kind of goes back to the history of how this developed, and particularly Facebook, which came from a different place than Twitter. I'll give you that. But Facebook came from rating people's faces and being rated. So,
yeah, it was Zuckerberg trying to get a date.
Yeah, but along the way, in their industry, whatever he said, they figured out that, oh, wait a minute, we can give people a dopamine hit by letting them have likes.
I don't think they figured it out. I think that it just happened naturally.
Yes, it happened.
It wasn't a plot.
No, it was not a plot. But once it happened, they're like, oh, shit, this is working.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. They took advantage of it. That's for sure.
Okay. So,
I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to not blame the social networks for all the problems that we have. I think it's a good as good as any rationale, but it does increase the speed at which people get irked and go crazy.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
And all I'm saying is
speed increases.
I think there's a high likelihood that is being tweaked, and not even purposely for evil, just to keep people engaged. This is the word, engagement. How do you keep them engaged? By giving people what they want. What do they want? The stuff they're looking at. All right, give them more of that.
And we want it now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. And the C stands for Can't See the Algos Dvorak.
I'm not looking. John C. Dvorak here, and I don't believe there's algos.
That's
in the morning, all the ships and seaboots in the ground, subs in the water, days and nights.
Yeah. In the morning to everyone in the troll room. How y'all doing? Good to have you here this morning. NoAgendaStream.com. They got a nice concert this morning for those of you who can listen to the stream live Thursdays and Sundays. They got the Toast song.
But by the way, just on this algo thing, I like the way you go off on the algo thing and condemn me for denying the possibility that it doesn't exist or doesn't work. And you're the one that constantly bitches and moans about how these algos don't work with advertising.
That's what I said in my argument.
You can't have it both ways.
That's what I said.
They either don't work at all or they work, half the time just to make your argument. No.
And I'm happy to provide you with the last word so everyone can just roll their eyes.
Well, they can roll their eyes anyway.
And I want to say in the morning to Darren O'Neill, he brought us the artwork for episode 1044. That title of that episode was misrepresented or misunderstood by a couple I saw.
Oh, what was the title again?
The title was Free Scooter.
Yeah.
Which, we meant to be one of these bird bikes. Not that we want you to go steal one, but we happen to have some information about how you could do that.
How you could if you wanted to.
Someone thought this was about Trump's pardoning of Scooter Libby.
Oh, that's cool. We had the double entendre.
A double, yes, without even knowing it.
Anything filthy.
Without even knowing it. But it was a great piece of work that Darren put together for us. It was a classic old vinyl record with a label with no agenda on it. Yeah, I mean, it was well done.
And if the more you look at it, it's got 33.33 speed, which is 33 and a third, which is the speed, which is 33.33.
Yeah.
But he used 33 instead of 1/3. He's got lots of little subtleties in that artwork, which is what I like.
Yes, a lot of people liked it, and we thank Darren O'Neill and all of our artists who diligently upload fabulous album art for every single new episode to NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you, we appreciate that. Just part of the Value for Value network we've created here with the No Agenda Show. We don't take advertising or corporate money. It's the value that comes back from the network to us, and that is in the form of donations. We'd like to thank our executive producers and associate executive producers up front in the show, just like Hollywood. Who do we have to thank today?
Oh, we have actually, because we did a promotion instead of not doing a promotion of executive I know. Of executive producers.
Okay.
And we seem to get a lot of them. It was, I don't know why, by the way. I think it's because
yes, hold on a second. I know why. Because you said, well, we got 2 celebrities down. Will No Agenda be the third?
And it would make some sense because the 2 celebrities that went down, we'll talk about later, which is Coco the gorilla, the talking gorilla.
Yep.
And Charles Krauthammer.
The talking gorilla. Not quite, but okay. I don't think the Coco spoke.
But she talked.
Uh-huh.
So you had the talking gorilla, and now you're taking it, and there's always, everything happens in 3s.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have cross species. We got a gorilla and a human, and then there could be maybe something inanimate, like a show, which is animate, but not. So that would be perfect.
It's a living being. Our show is a living entity.
It's a living being, but it's a cross species kind of a thought, and I guess it triggered some people thinking, "My God, this could happen."
We got grays, we got tall blondes, we got Nordics, we got them all.
Yeah. So we got a fairly good. We got a very good response. I want to thank everybody who helped us out for this show. Patrick Seymour's at the top of the list in Clayton, Ohio. It's $567.89. 56789. And he says NJNKNN.
No note. Okay.
No jingle, no karma, no note.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Peter Tangstrom, $350 from he's in Holland. Thank you, gents. You kept me sane in more ways than you could ever imagine. He wants just a plain vanilla karma shot.
No, he says no J, just a vanilla karma shot. Got it for you. Thank you, Peter.
You've got karma.
Yeah, I realize I got the spreadsheet late.
Yeah?
Yeah, that means I didn't have time to get this ready.
News bomb!
News bomb! What is that first one?
The first one is this one.
News bomb!
It sounds bad.
Yeah, it sounds like gas.
What do I have here?
News bomb!
There you go.
So Thomas Nussbaum in Virginia Beach, Virginia, came with $333.33. And he says ITM and damn the low donations, which they were, trying here. And then he's got I guess this is his coordinates.
Yeah, it looks like GPS coordinates that PayPal didn't know what to do with.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they made a mess, by the way. Hugs, kisses, love, and light.
I'm going to give him a karma. This is our Grande Duque.
You've got karma.
Sir Abel Kirby in Broomfield, Colorado, 333.33. Now, these are all people that came in as executive producers by clicking the Insta executive producer button.
Did it actually say Insta? Just Insta?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Insta.
Nice.
With the underline saying he misspelled it. Credited as Abel Kirby, yes. The hardest part of becoming a baronet is telling your parents you are gay. It's a very funny line.
Damn.
If you think about it. Yeah. Now, is he saying that all baronets are gay?
I don't know, man.
That's what he's saying.
No
wonder people want to skip it.
Yeah, I don't want to donate to that show. I don't want to be a baronet. That's no good.
This is upgrade complete. Space Force. Is he on the list?
Yes, he is.
Space Force.
Space Force. He's on the list. Yes.
Yeah, I say it right.
Space Force.
Space Force
was a huge deal with ex-mills I work with. Much discussion of re-enlisting. Huh. And Heinlein memes galore.
Yeah, I have a couple of notes. We're going to go second half today with Space Force.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Adam, if they ask about your OTG phone, this is a suggestion. We asked for suggestions. And
yes,
this is one of
yes, I have a few today. Yes.
Well, and this is Adam.
Oh, wait, so someone sees my Nokia E71 and goes, "What is that?"
And then you say, "Well, unlike your phone, this won't ionize the earth." I don't know.
I don't know if that one's gonna. I think I'll get like a huh. I don't think that will do much. But I appreciate the thought.
He says, John, can your magic eye see through plaid skirts? Of course it can.
Hello, it's
number one thing.
Bausch and Lomb, baby. We're not messing around.
No jingles, no karma. Onward to Sir Slotcar with $333.33 in Loomis, California. You're worth every penny, NJNK. We want to thank. Now, who was the guy that came in with the NJNK? It was Sir Anonymous, Dog Patch.
Yeah.
I want to thank him for dreaming that one up.
The NJNK, yes, fantastic.
Yeah, it's become a thing. Ryan Little in Cambridge, Massachusetts, $333.33. He's got some link. Diabetes vaccine appears to be a present cure 8 years later. Biggest news breakthrough since insulin for lifelong diabetics like myself, but no coverage.
Well,
why? Yes,
Ryan, email me some information. I'll dive into it.
He's got the link right there. I think that's the information he's talking about.
Right, but I know myself. Okay,
well, we'll look into it.
Yeah,
we'll cover it.
Yeah, of course we will. Yeah.
Sir Christoph, the Baron of Buckeye, $333.33. It's been way too long since I donated. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
And send me some much-needed small business owner karma.
You've got karma.
Onward with Sir Nubbin of the 500s, $333.33. By the way, back to Sir Christoph. This is one of the reasons we do the newsletter, because there are people out there like him who have been even donate for years sometimes. ITM, gents, this is Sir Nubbin. I would like to have jobs karma, Nubbin.
Okay.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Kevin in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 33333. In the morning, as a millennial dude named Ben, I'd like to make a down payment for all of the sane analysis you provide to all your listeners. My hobbies often leave me surrounded by enlarged amygdala SJWs. And my work is full of people cheering for more war and more big brother policies. I've had a lifelong interest in politics, history, philosophy, and at times I'd question whether I was the only one who saw the news cycles and the propaganda put out by the M5M for the low-level emotional drivel it is. I've caused many of my professors and progressive friends grief with my off-script and unhinged criticisms of the double-thinking and inconsistent talking points they push as fact. That's when No Agenda came into my life. When another dude named Ben by the name of Nate hit me in the mouth during one of my classes during the primary session in 2016. Sadly, neither one of us has ever contributed to the No Agenda show for our twice-weekly dose of sanity. And to end my douchebaggery, I'm making a donation to pay back some of the value I have received.
Woohoo!
I also like to call out Nate as a douchebag.
Buddy.
Although he does his best to hit everyone in the mouth, he has yet to contribute financially. Without donations, No Agenda would disappear, and there would be no alternative to turn to for both quality news analysis and hit John C. Dvorak whistle tunes.
That's for sure. Nowhere can you get our hit John C. Dvorak whistle tunes.
I'd like to some moving goat karma for finding a nice apartment. And please play Don't Worry, Be Happy, Putin, Pew, 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 Cyber Attacks, and Putin!
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy.
Where did Putin go?
You've got karma.
I don't know what happened to Putin. What happened to Putin?
I don't know.
That was
Hello,
weird.
Podfather and Podpiper says survive of the virtual reality to another 33333. It's a record. It has come to my attention due to a series of ear-piercing recorder squeals. Oh, I see what he's saying. I was thinking he was talking about having his ears pierced, but he's talking about me and this machine.
Yes. Yeah, your instrument. Your instrument.
My instrument.
Yeah.
That you're in need of support. So here's at present full fist of threes. It was high time for me to donate, especially since I've moved on to an engineering technician job that pays double the amount from my former job. Expect more donations in the future. Title change. If possible, I'd like to retain my knight name, but have the additional title of Baronet. Work of the OTG slaves. Accounting at the very end. He's got the accounting. I wonder if the Baronet if he's a straight or gay Baronet. Jingle request. If acceptable, a clean play of the Russian Connection. It's a parody of Kermit the Frog's Rainbow Connection. You know what that is?
Yeah, I think it's this. Let me see. Is this it? Yeah. Yeah.
You want to play?
Yeah, I'll play a little bit right now. I'll put it at the end. Hold on.
There's so many memes about Russia.
Okay, I'll put it at the end.
Put it at the end. Lastly, I would like to offer my former co-worker, Josh, congratulations on purchasing his home, housewarming karma, and a douchebag to him. Douchebag. We're still not donating since he hit me in the mouth back when we carpooled together.
Mm.
One of those.
And one of those.
You're listening to this whether you like it or not.
That's
on
right.
The carpool.
I guess he's
Which,
walking
by the
now.
way, we encourage.
Yes.
Keep up the great work. Your rational thinking keeps us all sane. Cheers. Baronet, work of the OTG slaves. Survive of the virtual reality. And Nicholas Haller. Okay. Thank you for that. Last 3333 is 3:33 a.m. in Iowa City. And oh, yes, I have a note that he wrote on a card. I appreciate card notes. Many of them go up on a wall. Oh, okay, he wants to be anonymous. Thanks for all you guys do. I work in education, and for as bad as you think it is, it's worse. I believe one of the most overlooked problems in education is the number and quality of administrators. Hello? There are too many. This is what problem in California. That's what California is so bad. And they are uniformly terrible at their job. That's because to become an administrator, all you need is 2 years of teaching and a master's degree.
Space Force.
For request, I have listened to podcasts since 2006, and until I was punched in the mouth, I had never heard of the podfather Adam Curry.
No one knows.
That's because of lies out there.
A lie? There's a lie out there?
Yes. I was wondering if you would be so kind as to share the story behind the podfather, and my wife and I could use some baby-making karma in the meantime. Thanks for all you guys do. 333.
So what story does he want?
He wants the history of your invention of the podcast.
Yeah.
And we're not going to. You want to? It has to be on this show sometime during the show.
Okay, because there is
We'll do it
some,
after this segment.
No, there is some untold part of the story. Some.
Well, that'll make it interesting.
Yes. Baby making karma. We got that for you.
You've got karma.
Done and done.
With $33 from Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and Chris Grill. Chris Grill, great name for a private detective. Thanks for the sanity check twice a week. This is my first contribution since starting to listen in the 900s, so I could use a de-douching.
Oh, you got it.
You've been de-douched.
The Sunday show falls on my youngest human resources, Kaya's birthday. So maybe you could add her to the list. Can I get a Sharpton compilation and a Trump Pelosi double jobs karma?
And we will much about that be committed. So there's no real conflict. Michael Druniak, including Lincoln himself, Daniel Day-Lewis. Behind Monica Lewinsky, the one and only Trey Songz is here. But Allison Lundergan Grimes, Gina De Jesus, when Gina De Jesus, Tea Party challenger Matt Bivens. People don't want to have their Social Security overall. Republican savior Mark Rubio's big night in evolution and Galileo. I mean, this whole thing of Galileo. America's changed.
Jobs.
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 And jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Wow. You know, those compilations have gone a lot. They've evolved.
A lot of mileage.
Wow. It's wow.
It's just wow, man.
I think I was getting like almost $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Kenneth Bear, Beare in Beaverton, Oregon. Should be Beaver. $333. Hi, John and Adam. It's time I pony up for the greatest podcast in the universe. It's been about a year since I last donated, so a de-douching would be in order.
You've been de-douched.
Just this past week, I was losing my sanity over the whole onslaught of media madness around the immigrant children. As a father, I was more than a little triggered. Luckily, I have you two to deliver a dose of reality.
Nice.
I felt my mental health immediately restored after your analysis on Thursday's show. Keep up the great work.
See, this is the kind of note that wakes me up. I get up in the morning for this kind of note. It just fell off. It just fell off because he was freaking out. The algos were in overdrive, and he heard us, and like a breath of just fresh wind through your head.
Wind. Yeah, you got a nice breath of wind. Sir Philip the Black Baron of Oslo in Norway, $333. The Black Baron. Not fair that you used the sad puppy. Oh, yes, I do. but I get the message. And as a Baron, will never abandon the best podcast in the universe. Dame Sarah and I send you our production contribution to preserve the truth and honesty that only exists on the No Agenda Show. M5M is not only fake news, it's divisive, deceptive, deviant, dishonest, and pure crap.
There you go. That's a good description.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't abandon us, and we will, the knights and the nobles of the No Agenda Round Table, will rally and rise. Fuck all social media.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your curses.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Sir Dan, protector of underwater. What is the rest of it? You have it on there?
Underwater. Oh, hold on a second. If I can see it here. Why is it not? Underwater criminal investigators. Ah, yes, Sir Dan. Yes, we know Sir Dan. He is an actual underwater criminal investigator.
It's what he does.
Yeah.
333, Woodford, Virginia. Hi, John and Adam. Please accept my donation to keep you guys solvent.
Thank you.
I can count on you to keep me from creating havoc in the world for at least 6 hours a week. I'd like a birthday call out for my smoking hot, steaming keeper, Anne. She's been keeping the world safe for other women for over 18 years. I'm a one-woman guy. Her birthday's on the 23rd. Could I get a de-douching?
Yes.
You've been de-douched.
And a health karma and a goat scream for the keeper. Thanks for what you do. You're making a difference in the war of words.
Aww.
You've got karma.
Donald Richards in Cortland, Virginia, also 333. What?
I'm just reading his note.
New International Version, Psalms 137.9. Happy is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rocks.
Preach.
Very funny.
Very good.
Yeah. Charles Couch. And then we dropped to associate executive producers. I want to thank all the people that gave us 333 and 333 to celebrate to celebrate the continuation of this great show. Charles Couch, 233.38. I'm getting a couple things in there. Donating from the airport. My gate was C33, and the sign when I arrived at the gate was flashing between Austin and San Francisco. What are the odds? Please send some jobs karma for both me and my wife. We have interviews today and tomorrow. Also give a MILF jingle for my smoking hot wife, Courtney. She just recently started listening after I finally convinced her the show is amazing. Oh, that's good. Now you guys will be happy for a long time. I love listening because it feels like conversation between the two of my kick-ass uncles. Douchebag call-outs for Kyle. Douchebag. Katie. Douchebag. And Aaron. Douchebag.
That's one hot MILF, baby.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right. Now, we have an issue here with Richard Unterberger. He's in M House, Pennsylvania, 22222.
Now, he was the executive producer on the last show, was he not?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
But we read the wrong note, or there was a note.
Oh, we screwed it up.
There's a bunch of... Well,
we had one job, one job.
Now, I'm going to look at this note, and I'm going to look at the email he sent and see if they're identical. It appears to be. I don't know. Yeah, I think it is. So I can just read. Okay. Well, no, it's not quite the same. I'll read from the email. I donated again, and this time my note should be in the spreadsheet. Just in case it isn't here I go. It's long, but consider it a twofer. Drunk donation during a marathon of cornhole. By the way, so I'm flipping around on the Sling TV network, and there's ESPN. It says it's going to be softball or a World Series, college World Series, and instead it was the finals or near the finals of the cornhole championship.
You know, I had never heard of cornhole until I moved to Texas, and it's kind of a national pastime here.
Well,
but if you come from the Beavis and Butthead era, you got a whole different vibe.
Yeah, it means something else. Now, so I'm watching this. It's actually fascinating. There's the two guys in the finals. One is going to go into the losers round for double elimination. People know what that means. So I'm sitting there watching it, and Jay, my daughter, comes in. And she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm watching." I said, "You ever heard of cornhole?" She says, "Yeah, it's a game." That's what she says immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, here's the championship." And she sits down and she looks at this thing. Now, these two guys are from a distance are nailing it. And they're doing blocks, and there's two sides to the bag, and one of them sticks and one of them goes in. And they something called an airmail, where you just throw it from a distance, go straight in the hole, and you try to block the other guys. It's actually kind of worth watching for a while. And she's watching it.
Is it on the level of curling?
It's faster.
Okay.
It's like curling and so far as the idiosyncrasies are concerned, but it's a faster paced game. I mean, they really rock.
Because, well, curling, the attraction of curling is hot chicks who yell.
Well, that's different.
Okay.
I suppose, anyway, so these guys are just killing it. It's astonishing. And most of by the way, if you're going to play this game and you don't know how to play it, you should watch these pros play it, because most of the shots are before the hole and they slides into the hole. 90% of the hole shots are from the sliding in, as opposed to straight air mailing it. They call the other one, which is hard.
I prefer my air mailing technique when I'm cornholing.
I'll bet you do. Now, so Jay sits down and watches for about 5 minutes. She goes, interesting. Yeah, they really packed them in, big audience. There's like 40 people in the stands watching these two guys. The championship. Okay. Anyway,
I'm glad you got that out of your system.
Someone's getting cornholed today.
Sounds like a recipe for success to me.
So I'm guessing that Richard Nadeau was watching the same thing. But he says, drunk donation during a marathon of cornhole. Last week's note didn't go well, and so here I'm to give what I can during the time of scant support. I'd like to ask for a douchebag de-douching.
You've been
but that randomly got covered last weekend by another donor's note attributed to me. My fellow, I read the
wrong note. Yeah, it happens.
It's a mistake I made.
Yeah,
it's me.
It happens.
It's on me.
Yeah.
My fellow.
You should say my bad, man.
And you know what I think about that?
You despise it.
I do.
I do. It. You really don't like people. It's my bad.
My bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad. Why don't you just say, eat shit? Because that's what you're saying when you say my bad.
Really? It doesn't even sound like it. No, it's a way of taking responsibility without feeling sorry. It's the modern day equivalent of
way of taking responsibility. It's insincere.
Yes, it's the modern day equivalent of I apologize. Doesn't mean you're sorry.
My fellow producers really need to step it up, but the show has been excellent recently. We all benefit greatly from the wisdom and experience of John and Adam because we're older. And the top-notch no-agenda community as a whole because they're great. Step it up. Step it up, people. Can I please get a relationship karma as I recently lost the second love of my life, much like the first, to the opioid epidemic. She's not dead, just gone.
Oh, man.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Can I please get some? I have a little piece on that after this is over. Can I please get sincere junkie karma for my ex to become a healthy person and not kill herself? I know it's a lot to ask for, but can I please get a tiny project car karma for my second Honda Beat? I recently purchased that he recently purchased.
Did you see the picture of this? Was that in the email?
It's a gorgeous car.
It's a great little car, isn't it? It's pretty.
It's a little 3-cylinder, hot-looking sports car. I'd have one of those. They're not allowed in this country or something.
Hey, girls.
Hey, baby. Want to ride in my Honda Beat? I have been busy tracking down and importing parts for in Japan. For in Japan is what he says. Besides you guys, it's been a cornerstone to my sanity during the difficult time. I don't know what karma would sound like, but I trust Adam to pull off something. Thank you for all you guys do. And know you are doing an incredible thing, and we all need you guys.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, double one for you.
You've got karma. You've got karma.
That should do it.
Now, he is Sir Chard of the tiny cars.
Of tiny cars, not just of tiny cars. Of tiny cars. Yeah.
Anonymous in Phoenix, Arizona, $207.46. Call me some guy from Phoenix if you want. By the way, relationship karma seems to be working. Maybe a request for more? I'm within earshot of knighthood, looking forward to being part of the round table.
Oh, let me give him some more relationship karma then. Here you go.
You've got karma.
I put some top spin on that relationship karma for him.
Sir Johnny the Swamp Knight in Washington, D.C., 202. Washington, D.C. is the best we can do. Hail to the podcast in the universe. Oh, hail to the best podcast in the universe, and greetings from the swamplands of Washington, D.C. The dry spell in donations is always assigned to step up and let you know how crucial the show's analysis is for critical thinkers and sanity. Even then, Dimension B can take a mental toll. In my neighborhood, there continues to be a Pence loves penis stickers on light posts.
I need one of those. I need a Pence loves penis sticker. Unstuck, please.
And F Trump graffiti, and there's even a store that sells nothing but this stuff called The Outrage. There you go. Just find The Outrage, and they'll send you the selection.
Excellent.
This kind of hate isn't healthy or constructive, which is why you see the shameful harassing of public officials. I humbly ask for a dealer's choice of Reverend Manning jingles. Love and light, Sir Johnny the Swamp Knight.
Okay.
That's a sure enough money shot. Woo, Jesus. Woo, Lord. Look at that. That's a money shot. Kellyanne Conway is a money shot.
You've got karma.
Love the Rev. Why didn't that guy get a show on MSNBC?
Politics are wrong.
Yeah.
Sean McClellan, $200.33. Enjoy the unique perspective of your media deconstruction. Keep it up. To all the producers out there, please donate and do it right now. I mean, you, yes, you. I do have a couple of questions. One.
Now, this is very interesting. Question number one is something I was going to call for in second half of show segment because we have a donor, I believe, a knight, if not of higher peerage.
He's a fire bottles baron.
There you go. Baron. Who always sends his donation notes on the Federation of Planets letterhead. And the first question that Sean has is, I'd love to know the story behind the letters that come in on the Federation of Planets letterhead. It's mentioned often, but I didn't catch the origins and details behind it. I've never actually seen the letterhead because it always comes into the P.O. box. You see them. And
I am going to put a copy of one of the letters from the Federation.
Now, what it is called the Federation of Planets?
It says the Federation of Planets.
It's a logo.
It's the logo of the Star Trek Federation. The whole thing is so it must be real.
Star Trek Federation.
Yeah, what do you think it?
I thought that was the real deal.
This is the Star. No, this is not Star Wars. This is Star Trek.
You said Star Trek. I know, but
Star Trek.
Okay. So this is not the real Federation of Planets letterhead. It's just the Star Trek Federation of Planets letterhead.
No, this is the Star Trek's Federation of Planets is real.
Oh, okay. Well, at least we're on the same track. Good.
So I will send. There's very small letterheads for a small compact piece of paper because in the future they can't for 8.5 by 11 chews up too many trees, so all the paper's shrunk. I'll send. Next time one comes in, I don't have one handy. If I find one just by accident, I'll run it in the news. It'll be in the newsletter, so stay tuned. Anyway, number two, I plan on getting my technician license next month. Just started studying a couple of days ago. What are the details behind the 7373 donation in relation to ham radio?
Oh, okay. That won't be in your test, but it is good to know.
No, it won't.
There's a number of codes and that you use. And you've heard of, QSL, QTH. You probably heard those terms. But then we have two numbers in particular, 73 and 88. And 73 stands for hugs and kisses. No, 73 is greetings. And 88 is for hugs and kisses.
Yeah.
And so that's why
hams commonly say 73.
73s, yes. 73 cool. OM, which stands for old man. Stands for old man. 73's OM.
Yeah, 73's OM to you. At last, Jesse Alvey hit me in the mouth. He continues with his note. Some time ago, but has never donated. Please call him out and call out his brother Ethan for good measure. NJNK, please add me to the birthday list. He's on the birthday list? I don't believe so.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
It's his 4th annual 33rd birthday. June.
Well, he's from the Federation of Planets.
Well, he doesn't have letterhead to prove it. Sir Upper Decker, $200.
Hey, Sir Upper Decker. I haven't heard from him for a while.
I haven't heard from Sir Upper Decker forever. Sneaking in with a donation between diaper payments,
which are expensive.
Need deal-making karma to make it back before my baby's RUS card is due.
Babies are us.
Babies are us.
It's been a while since you've been to one of them, but babies
They're
are
closed.
Us. Yes, I know.
You've got karma.
Now, Toys R Us closed.
I was never. Babies R Us came after way later.
Yeah, no. Christina was born when Babies R Us was in its heyday. Yeah. And we never bought
I went into a Babies R Us, and I thought I was saying, I wanted to buy a baby.
I want a baby. You got a baby?
But no.
You got some with
there
some...
was no babies for sale.
You got one that's already potted, or what kind of babies you got?
They got nothing. It's a joke. It's just a misleading name for a store.
Yes.
Stephen Cheshire, $200 from the UK. Hi, John and Adam. Note for the show for this donation sent by email, 75R, blah, blah, blah. That's his email address. Let me go look. You might as well look, too.
Yeah, I am looking.
Okay, let me do it. I can do it.
I hate Outlook.
You using Outlook?
Yeah. Well, it has some form of a database, and then you can search in the database. But whenever you do it's kind of hard to explain. If you enter a search term and then you click in one of like last month or today, and I click in it, then the search term changes to something else. It's busted. It's a piece of shit. It's horrible. It's horrible.
This must be it. This is show 10. He says it's for 10:44. It's 10:45. He's off his show. Oops. I'll get back to that. Steve, and he writes, hi, John and Adam. We're just a long-time listener from Bristol in the UK, where we're trying to overdo another donation. We did donate a couple of years back, but never put a mention on the show. We listen to your show every week. It's twice a week. And now I've found it became our main news feed, as we find it the only source of credible news nowadays. It's probably true.
Wow.
We enjoy, after listening to your deconstruction of events, how the same stories are being reported. Many times we report days in advance of some of the ones you'll hear over here in the UK. It makes us laugh, but sometimes scream and cry, especially the stories about Trump.
Yeah.
They hate Trump over there. We were over in California in April, May this year on a holiday, and I have to say, what a beautiful place. Apart from San Francisco, if only we had remembered our poop map. While we were over there, we never met anyone who had a half-decent word to say about Trump. Not one. So all we could take from that is that your news networks are certainly doing a good job on that front. Keep feeding the slaves. For your excellent work and hours of entertainment you provide, please find our donation of $265 for this week's show. It came in as $200. In which I want to give the producer credit to my lovely wife, Sharon. We have to remember to do that, as it is her birthday today. Do we have that? No.
Oh, no, I don't think we do.
I don't see how we could.
No. Okay, so tell me the
This
deets.
is Steve wants to wish his wife, Sharon, a happy 47th birthday today, which I don't know when this was.
What's her name? What's her name?
Just Sharon.
Sharon. 47 today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please wish her happy birthday and send her a MILF jingle for not donating for so long, even though she has been on my back to get with it. Please give me a douchebag and then a de-douching.
Oh, okay.
You've been de-douched.
That's one mother I'd like to.
You've got karma.
All right. Onward.
I think that does it. That does it.
No, that's it. You're right. Stephen Cheshire is our last donor.
Wow.
I want to thank.
That was good, John. I'm glad you reminded a whole bunch of people who hadn't donated in over a year. That is how the newsletter
works. I find it interesting when they all come out of the woodwork at once.
That's good.
Something triggered them.
Well,
and
yeah,
whatever it was, I'm proud of myself.
Whatever triggered him, you should be proud of yourself. Whatever it is.
The problem is I don't know what I did.
Space Force.
We thank everybody who supported us, our executive and associate executive producers for episode 1045. We'll be thanking more people who came in $50 and above in the second donation segment. And please remember, we got another show coming up on Thursday. Plenty to deconstruct. We thank you for making it all possible. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Boy, we've learned a lot to deconstruct, a lot to propagate in our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Boo-doo-boo. I got a couple of quickies. Some comebacks from my OTG phone. I got a little list.
You want to do OTG, then you want to give us a little history of the podcasting thing?
Sure.
Podfather.
First, I'll read this. No, I think this is Mike. This Kilo Charlie 7 Tango Whiskey. Glad you're liking the new hearing aids. Yes, I am liking the new hearing aids. I won't bore you with any information today, but I have another appointment this week, and so I'll have an update maybe. My commander had the ones like you were talking about and loved that he could focus the listening in one direction. It helped in meetings. True. Anyway, it was just listening to Thursday's show and the segment on the Zen TV experiment. I finally figured something out. In the office I work in, my iPhone doesn't get a connection to the outside world. I work for a DoD agency, so this is either a coincidence or by design. Anyway, for the first couple of weeks, I'm newish to the job, I found myself checking my phone and getting upset that there was nothing happening with it. No emails, no notifications, no social updates, etc. And now I know why. I was programmed to look at my phone when I was bored, and I was upset when I didn't get my entertainment. I've just started to leave my phone in my car during the work, and I feel much better. I often forget, and it's there till after I get home. Thanks for filling me in on what was causing me so much angst. You guys are invaluable. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's true. And I'm going to be, I put an order in for, I can't. It went on pre-order in the UK and many of the European Union states, the Nokia 8110 4G.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. So it's a.
Oh, that's nice. A 4G phone.
Yes. There's only one other 4G feature phone, which means it's not a smartphone, and that is the AXP5.
So what is this going for? What's the
Well, so this is a remake.
I'm gonna look it up. Now this has got me intrigued.
You'll like it
because I have one of the old Nokias that are with the chrome back. They're really dynamite.
Right, but so this
4G is a really
this is the 8110. It's the banana phone as made famous in The Matrix, the one with a slide that pops down. So they remade that, and they did it with 4G, which is going to be necessary because 3G is being turned off everywhere to make room for 5G.
Going to kill us all.
Our DNA will be ripped to shreds, but boy, we'll have great connectivity. It runs the Kai OS, Kai, which is a fork of Android, and it has no apps. It has like bookmarklets on the screen, so it has the Opera browser. In fact,
you can get a yellow one.
Yeah, yellow or charcoal. I think $79, I think, is what it's going to go for. And you have a browser, you got your text messaging. They've done the text messaging right, so it looks like a chat.
I can't find one for less than $150.
Well, it shouldn't be on sale at all yet. It's only on sale in the UK.
Nokia 810 banana phone, 4G, 4GB, 512 MB RAM, 2.4 inches, 2 megapixel smart. It says smartphone.
It's not a smartphone.
They don't know what they're talking about.
No.
Here's an 8.
It could be that it was £79, but I think $150. Look, it's not available in the US yet. It shouldn't be. So July 4th, I think, is when they start selling it in the rest of the world. But I think that could have legs. You know, especially the 4G.
No, it doesn't show it with legs. It just slides open.
You're so funny. You're so funny. Anyway, so when I have that phone, which will also look very weird to people who are familiar with seeing the Black Mirror, here are some of the comebacks. Are you ready?
Oh, okay.
You want to do the surprised voice each time, so I can.
Okay, I'll do the surprised voice in a different. I'll try to vary it a little bit.
Yeah, mix it up a bit.
Okay, here we go. Hey, hi, Adam.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
What
is that?
Now, you see, you knew my name, so that doesn't work. You have to be a complete stranger.
Oh, okay, so I have to be a stranger.
Yeah, you're serving in the restaurant. That's
well, I think a person that knows you could do this, but okay, I'll be a waiter. Yes, hello, my name is Bill. Holy moly, what is that?
Oh, that's the same phone Jimi Hendrix used when he was with the Beatles.
Who's Jimi Hendrix?
Okay, we'll try another one.
Yeah, I'll be a different waiter. Hi, I'm here to take your order. Oh my God, what is that?
Oh, that's the free phone that came with my Airstream.
What's an Airstream? All right, one more. How many more you got here?
I got 3 more.
Oh, okay, I'll be another way. Well, I'll just be somebody walking down the street. You get the phone there. Oh, hey, man, what's that there?
This, my friend, still works with the old MTV.
Okay.
They're not that good, I guess. And the final one is, my dog ate my iPhone and died. Every time I see a smartphone, I think of poor Biffy. Kind of like that.
Oh, my God, that is the worst.
Kind of like that one.
Yeah, use it. See if you can even deliver it.
I can't. I'll stumble on Biffy. No doubt about it. It was interesting to see just in the off-the-grid OTG, Cisco has announced it's going to buy July Systems, a startup that uses Wi-Fi to gather insights about visitor behavior in physical spaces like malls, stadiums, and airports. Now, Cisco has already partnered with July Systems, so they're scaling this up. And $45 million, it's a good deal. That's what they're valued at. But you know that's with Cisco, they're kind of instrumental in the infrastructure of the internet. What are they doing?
I don't know. You got me.
They're
just worried about Huawei.
Yeah. Are you worried about Huawei?
No, they are. Everybody is.
Right, yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't care. Huawei.
Yes.
So I have a couple interesting. Well, no, let me save these. I'll save them for later in the show if they come up. What else? I do have the Purdue Pharma thing, which is talking about the addiction. You brought addiction up, and we have one of our producers.
Is this about the lawsuit?
Yeah, but it's got some other stuff in it. They did an interview on one of the networks. I think it was CBS. Yeah, it was CBS. And they interviewed one of the sales people for Purdue. I didn't realize that this OxyContin thing, they're actually blaming this one company for the whole opioid crisis.
Somebody's got to go down.
They should go down. She worked for him between 2001 and 2007 or something. I mean, this was going on so long. This has been really going. These guys must have made billions. Let's play this.
It's the family, right? Isn't it one family who owns the Purdue? It's billions, I tell you.
I think it was just a big charade.
Carol Pernera says she joined that charade in 2008 as an OxyContin salesperson for Purdue Pharma.
So bottom line, sell as much as you can.
Sell as much as you can.
To what end?
To making money.
Just a year earlier, Purdue had admitted it falsely promoted OxyContin as less addictive by, among other means, claiming the drug's slow-release formula did not cause a buzz or euphoria. The company said the misstatements ended in 2001. But amid a widening addiction epidemic, Pernera claims the company taught her to tell doctors that some patients might only appear to be addicted. In training, she was given a term for this: pseudo-addiction.
Did this concept of pseudo-addiction come with studies backing it up?
Wow. We had no studies. We did not have any studies. That's the thing that was kind of disturbing, was that we didn't have studies to present to the doctors.
You know how that sounds?
I know. I was naive.
A 2015 study published in Current Addiction Reports found no empirical evidence to support pseudo-addiction as a diagnosis. In a statement to CBS News, Purdue said it is confident that OxyContin sales have been consistent with the information contained in the FDA-approved label. But the word pseudo-addiction doesn't appear on OxyContin's label, and a spokesperson for the FDA said the labeling is not intended as a discussion of pseudo-addiction.
I reject any notion that there's science behind pseudo-addiction.
Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter is one of 24 AGs suing Purdue and other opioid manufacturers. Many of the lawsuits mention pseudo-addiction.
Do you think this is an epidemic that begins with Purdue Pharma and OxyContin?
Yes.
That's the start of it all.
Yes.
Carol Pranera, who quit in 2013, says she hopes the drug maker is held accountable.
Do you regret the 5 years you spent with Purdue Pharma?
I'm going to sum it up and say this. I think that was one of the, if not the worst career decisions of my life.
So they're really going with the pseudo-addiction defense, huh?
Yeah, also pseudo-overdose and pseudo-death.
Not really dead. You're just pseudo-dead. Wow. So I've been following this, and they seem to be the only one. I mean, and really, they manufacture it. It's the distribution that is the problem. You know, you've got the pill mills.
Yeah, they've got nothing to do with that.
No, they probably do. Look, they're drug dealers. And someone's got to go down. From time to time, you got to take one down. It's going to be these guys.
Yeah.
So screw them. They're liars. They're horrible human beings because they know exactly what they were doing. Pseudo-addiction.
Pseudo-addiction is hilarious.
So we got news about Anthony Bourdain, and I love how this was all done by some local French guy who did the autopsy, I guess. This is from the New York Times. Police at the time ruled his death a suicide by hanging. From an investigative standpoint, the only question left was whether he had any substances in his body, which was a question, of course. There were none, save for the trace of a non-narcotic medicine in a therapeutic dose. Christian de Roquigny, the local prosecutor in charge of the investigation, said in a text message to the New York Times. Whoa, great investigative work there, guys. What the hell?
They told us what it was. What was it again? I forgot.
They didn't tell us.
Oh, no, they didn't tell us?
No. A non-narcotic medicine in a therapeutic dose, which means it was
Chantix.
Yes, of course it was Chantix. But we're not going to know. The New York Times is, I got a text message. We're good to go. Who cares? It's fine. It's just non-narcotic. Very disappointing.
Yeah, well, what do you expect? Did you really expect?
No. Of course I didn't really expect that, but still, holy moly.
Holy moly.
Holy moly.
That's our new, we should just use that all the time.
Holy moly? Yeah.
I used it a minute ago.
Let me see what I have here.
All right, now we're going to stop. You're going to tell us about podcasting.
Well,
we had a request from one of our executive producers.
The part of podcasting that is poorly told, because by the history books it started in 2004, but it actually started in 2000. And I went to New York. I had to go beat somebody up over some money I was owed, and which is a true story. Another story for another time. And Dave Weiner was in New York at the time. I think he was just for some conference. And I knew Dave Weiner from Radio Userland and the blogging stuff and RSS. And I had written this blog post. You can still find it on archive.org, which is the final yard, I think it is. So instead of, the last yard, instead of the last mile, the last yard. And I had this concept in my head, which was, since at the time we only had modems there were cable modems, but they were always on. It wasn't broadband. It was more broadband than dial-up, but it really wasn't all that great. The cable infrastructure really sucked, but you didn't have to dial in, so it was always on. And I had this idea that in order to create a good multimedia experience, which we didn't have, it wasn't click and play. It was click, wait for 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden it would play. If it was video, it might take a little, less long with an MP3 file. Hard for people to imagine, but that's the world we were in. I said, why not, since the computer is always on, it's always connected to the internet, why not create a little thing, a little program that runs in the background, and when there's a new video or piece of content is available, it downloads it without telling the user, but when it has it on its hard drive, it pops up a message and says, hey, I've got something new for you here. And then you click on it, it plays immediately, which would give you a great experience. Like, I clicked on something, it said it was new, and it played immediately, which would have been sorcery and magic at the time. And I presented this to Weiner, who scoffed at me and didn't kick me out, but was like, whatever, I think he thought I was, MTV boy, shut up. But then I took his software, his Radio Userland his prog scripting application, and I created what I was talking about. And he looked at it and he said, I now understand what you're saying. You have to promise me one thing. I said, what's that? That you never, ever touch my software again. Okay, I promised that. And that's when he came up with the way to implement this, which was the enclosure tag in the RSS feed format. And we were actually using this for 3 years before podcasting came to be. But it wasn't until the iPod happened that for me, in my head, it clicked like, wait a minute, we can use this in conjunction with the iPod, because I looked at the iPod and didn't say jukebox, as everyone was saying. I said radio receiver. All we need to do is have a way for people to subscribe. And we had that. The RSS mechanism was subscribed, and I built a little script and it popped it over to the iPod, and that was the birth of podcasting.
Ta-da!
Ba-dum! I did that pretty well.
And that's
Space
a fact.
Force.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And that's the way it should be told.
And that's how it happened. Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
So this guy is the guy who invented podcasting.
Yes. Hey, I have a question regarding the FBI, this investigation, the Hillary email investigation.
Any collusion?
So I kind of said as a throwaway joke about their not having the emojis to provide context around the Strzok and Page text messages. And
I don't think you were joking.
Well, my joke was it was intended as a joke initially by saying, "Oh, how can you have two lovers with 7,000 or 8,000 text messages, not a single eggplant emoji? It doesn't exist in today's relationships." And so, I tried to crowdsource it. People weren't very helpful because you can look through the messages and you can get the emoji codes, which are in Unicode, and you can Bing them, and then you can figure out what they were. It's pretty much universally what I was able to find, smileys or frownies. I didn't see any poop emoji. I certainly didn't see any heart emojis. No words, affirmative words of "I love you, baby." I'm thinking of you. None of this. Yet when these text messages came out, it's kind of hard to tell, exactly how they came out or who released them or why. But the narrative immediately was they're lovers. And in this investigation, we now also find that FBI lawyer number 1 and FBI lawyer number 5 were also in a romantic relationship. Which, by the way, the CEO of Intel just had to resign because they have a no fraternizing policy. But at the FBI, it's okay. So you can just stay there. In both cases, now I don't know if we've seen the text messages from lawyer 1 and lawyer 5, but it really changes the context from, baby, I'm going to stop him. We didn't even say baby. Don't worry, I'm going to stop him. He'll never be president. Which, between lovers is a very different context than I'm going to stop it. It's text, you have no context. Maybe it was written in complete hate. The guy is polishing up his AR-15. I don't know. But the way it was presented, I find highly suspicious. Moreover, now that we have 2 other FBI agents who are also in a romantic relationship. If that even matters. It matters because it provides very specific context between these 2 messages. And from the beginning, from the moment it came out, it was FBI lovebirds. Well, this. And I'm not buying that. I think that was brought in to soften down what was being discussed. And in fact, if you read them without the context of lovebirds, it's conspiratorial. No one is really questioning that.
Well, I have to assume, I'm not going to condemn the argument because you might be totally right. And you have to assume, and I could be totally wrong when I say this, that it was well known in the agency that these 2 were shacked up or they were doing it.
I defy
so they were lovebirds.
I defy anyone except you. I defy anyone to show me text messages with the person they love, even your kid, that doesn't have a heart emoji or kiss emoji or hearts in the eyes emoji, more than just smiley face, frowny face. That is not that. It is now a part of our language.
All right. Well, it was just an open challenge to anybody out there who does texting with their lover.
Yes, and also if anyone can find any of the expected emojis in those text conversations, let me know. I mean, I've looked through as much as I can without finding anything. I see a lot of smileys and frownies. That's all I see.
All right. Well, it could be a conspiracy.
And 7,000 messages, not a single sext? Not a single one?
Well, we don't know that. They could have been judiciously removed, or there's a possibility of, I know. I agree with that. It doesn't make sense.
All right. Now,
if it was an old married couple, it would be different.
I have a note, but I want to read it after you do your Coco rundown.
Coco rundown.
Oh yeah, we said you want to talk about Coco, the ape, the gorilla,
the talking gorilla.
Yes.
Well, I don't really have any clips about that. I was going to talk about Kraudheimer.
Well, let me do something on the gorilla then.
Okay.
Coco the gorilla, who knew sign language actually. So Coco died, and what is your impression of Coco? Just from what you know from the media. And this has been going on for decades, this Coco story. I remember
it's a fantastic gorilla that's a very emotional, emotional gorilla that's just a human. It's a human that can't talk, but it can sign and could like a banana and wanted to screw other gorillas, I guess. I don't know. There's a mixed bag of it. But they always had like Robin Williams with Coco and Morley Safer with Coco. And they all come back with a tear in their eye saying, Coco is glad to meet me or something. It's always good. It was mushy. That's
mushy. Well, mushy. Jen the zookeeper sent me a note. We have every kind of producer in our midst. Adam and John, I saw the death of Coco the gorilla was mentioned in the newsletter. I thought I'd pass along some details about Coco in case you discuss her death on the show. Believe me, we would not have discussed it were it not for your email. I worked as a zookeeper for several years and met many people who cared for Coco. Here we go. And this was kind of well known, but there's now even a lawsuit about it, which is kind of cool. The first is Coco had a fetish for women's nipples and asked to see them through sign language, which isn't so bad since she's an animal, of course. What is disturbing is that the head of Coco's research, Francine Patterson, demanded that employees show their breasts to Coco or their employment would be terminated. And there is a lawsuit now, or maybe it's been resolved, but there was a lawsuit of a hostile work environment. And
it is hostile.
Yes, of course it's hostile. The second, though, has to do with the children's book Coco's Kitten, a charming story about how Coco formed a friendship with a kitten. From what I've heard from other keepers, Coco would regularly torture, kill, and dismember kittens. If I remember correctly, she liked pulling their tails off while they were still alive, then demand replacements. This is actually typical behavior for apes. They can be extremely nasty, and most will slowly torture and kill any wild animals that fall into their enclosures. Then males will often use the body to masturbate. But Patterson again indulged Coco by getting her more kittens. The general consensus from the other keepers was that Patterson was completely nuts and had an extremely strange attachment to Coco, worse than even current-day dog owners. While zookeepers work very hard to keep the animals we care for happy, I have never known any would go to these extremes. I believe it. I believe that was a big PR bunch of crap about the kitten. They just had to keep replacing it with new kittens as he ripped them to shreds.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
We got to look into this more.
How come nobody in the mainstream media covers it this way?
Well, they don't have Zookeeper Jen on their side.
Well, probably I'm sure we can get confirmation of that whole story. I know the nipples part of it is very commonly known in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Well, while we're on animals, then, this is one I've been holding from producer Neil. You know, we have these donation segments going back and forth about the artificial insemination, the breeding of horse and cattle, and which hole the hand goes in.
Yeah, where it goes.
So Neil sent me a note, and this, of course, I didn't think about it. Having spent a significant amount of time in Kentucky, which is horse country, I can clarify a note from last Sunday's donation segment. Horse and cow breeding both involve the rear end of the male. A torpedo-like vibrator is inserted into the gentleman to speed up the extraction process and prevent the use of human hands for simulation. Yeah, I'm all for the torpedo. The product is collected and sold in little straws that are frozen and sold anywhere from $15 to a couple thousand for prize-winning studs. So that's where the rear comes from. So I guess everyone was right. We just forgot to stipulate male or female cattle. That's a life-saving tip.
We got to get somebody that can give us. I'll tell you what. One of us should interview some people that really know all the details on both sides of this equation.
Yeah, I think you should do that right away.
I'm on it.
I'm sure you are.
We have
I got some racist stuff. I just got some pure racist stuff.
Oh, before you go to racist, let's play. I want to get this one out of the way. We got a gas tax in California that was implemented just unilaterally by the state, so they could.
What? Just recently, they implemented a new one.
Well, this is the one that was a few months back, but it was our gas price is $1 above everybody in the whole country.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we actually produce oil.
And it's already expensive. It's gotten very expensive here, like $3 now.
$4 a gallon here.
Yeah,
what
worth
is it there?
$3, $2.99.
Yeah. Oh, so expensive. So let's just hear a little background on it. Then I got the follow-up clip, which is kind of like, to me, it says, but there are all these Democrats. Democrats run the state, and they're all for the tax. So let's play it.
There are people, millions all across this state, that have moved farther and farther away from their place of work in order to be able to get a house they can afford. And then the legislature slaps them with this gas tax.
John Cox, Republican candidate for governor, says he had no problem getting 1 million signatures to put a repeal of the gas tax on the November ballot.
We had people chasing the signatures gatherers to sign this. It's usually the other way around, right?
The governor's budget this year spends $5 billion from the gas tax, but the total state budget shows a $16 billion surplus.
If they've got such a big surplus, why are they collecting this gas tax?
Proponents of the tax say that transportation projects are big, long-term investments, and they need a consistent funding stream.
There's a boom and bust budget cycle in the legislature. That's been true for many, many years. We cannot afford to return to that. It will threaten the ability to move forward on these transportation projects.
Governor Jerry Brown has vowed to fight the repeal. Brown has $15 million in a political bank account, and he could spend it in a campaign against the repeal.
Where did Jerry Brown get this war chest? He got it from the same contributors and donors and contractors who, of course, he's benefiting with his train to nowhere, his white elephant in the Central Valley.
Today, supporters of the gas tax said it's already paying for thousands of projects.
This proposition will eliminate more than 5,000 projects that are already good transportation projects that are already in the pipeline.
A USC LA Times poll last month found that 51% of Californians want a repeal. 38% want to keep the gas tax. And gas tax supporters today said that the public just doesn't understand the benefits of the tax.
We are confident that the voters will reject this proposition.
What happened to climate change?
It's passing for sure. But let's climate change didn't get into this conversation. But so let's play gas. In this next clip, we get to hear about 3 of the fabulous gas tax projects.
Now, some Bay Area projects that are already being funded by that gas tax money include over 250 BART cars, dozens of AC transit buses, and better street signage in Novato. Live in Sacramento at the state capitol, Melissa Kane, KPIX5.
Street signs!
So we're getting better street signs in Novato. So the entire state is paying more in gasoline taxes. So Novato, a ritzy town, is a fancy town in Marin County.
Oh, there you go.
Big Democrat enclave. They have their own damn money. They're getting signs, and then the BART cars and Muni cars, they get their own budgets. They don't need gas tax money to buy upgrades. This is a classic scam, and this goes on everywhere in the country.
Yeah. Well, we don't have it here. Not like that.
Yet.
We're still red.
Barely.
Barely red. All right. 2 racist bits.
Okay.
Dimension A, Dimension B is what I'll do. Dimension A is David Bossie Now,
Bossy?
Was he? I think he was involved in the Trump campaign, wasn't he?
I never heard of him.
Hold on a second. Bossie?
Don't know him.
I'm pretty sure he was involved with the Trump campaign. Let me just see if there's no wiki. Yes, here it is. Here's the Wikipedia. David Bossie. Born November 1, 1965, David Norman Bossie is a racist American political activist. Well, I got the right guy then, I guess. That's a nice Wikipedia entry.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Anyway, here he is.
Not biased.
No, he's on with Joel Payne, who is black, and that's important in context of this clip.
Is Bossy black?
No, Bossie's white.
White, okay.
And Payne is black.
Michael Hayden posted a picture of Auschwitz. Donnie Deutsch is talking.
That liberal Michael Hayden. Yeah, that screaming liberal Michael Hayden.
You're out of your cotton-picking mind.
Cotton-picking mind? Brother, let me tell you something.
I just love that. How dumb do you have to be to say to a black man, you're out of your cotton-picking mind? I mean, how stupid are you? Then, I mean, I'm flabbergasted by this.
I got some relatives
this is ridiculous.
Okay. And I'm not going to allow you to attack me like that on TV. I'm not out of my cotton picking
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
He said you're out of your mind. Gentlemen, we're going to leave it right there.
This is ridiculous. Okay. This is what's gone on in America. No. This is what we're about.
No, dude. You blew it. You really did. So that's kind of the blatant racism. I mean, and it's really tone deaf, colorblind. I mean, no legs, no arms. You're an idiot. And I guess he deserves that Wikipedia entry. But much more subtle and interestingly cheered on by the crowd was Seth Rogen, who was on Colbert. And it's 2 minutes, but I think it's well worth listening to, because this is what's really going on in America, and you're about to listen to it. He was invited by Mitt Romney to speak at some conference, which I think was all for Alzheimer's or for mental health. And Rogan has an Alzheimer's charity, so he went and he spoke. And, of course, he met a lot of Republicans there. And he talked specifically about one encounter, and I'll tell you right away, it's Paul Ryan, who is, now he's on his way out, but is he the speaker still? Is he the Speaker of the House? He's the...
Oh, yeah.
He's the big boss man. Is he in charge of the Republican Party? What exactly?
He's just the Speaker of the House. He's in charge of the Republican people in the
So he has
House.
power. He has power.
Yeah, he's a powerful guy.
Okay, so there's two parts to this. There's a very abnormal hatred, but also the racism is just befuddling.
I was put into a bit of a pickle wherein at one point two very young white teenage men, think how white they were if I noticed how white they were. Because I'm white. I'm Canadian. Yeah. We're the whitest people. And
now, what is this about? Just explain to me what this is about. Just this. Why is that relevant? Is he trying to, I mean, it's all virtue signaling, but is he trying to say, I was at this Republican thing and they were all white people, and so they were so white, they were probably really racist?
Well, he's thinking along the lines that only a black man can make jokes about black people. And so he's saying this is okay for me to say because I'm white. So I can make jokes about white people. I mean, it's convoluted.
But what's the joke? It's not. There's no joke. Well, he turns it into a joke.
He's talking about his observations to come. He's preconditioning the audience for his material and making it clear to everyone that he's white. I don't know why. It's obvious he is. But he's self-consciously white. He's woke.
Think how white they were if I noticed how white they were. Because I'm white. I'm Canadian. Yeah. We're the whitest people. And so they asked to take a picture with me. They're maybe like 16, 17. And fans. Very nice fans. Clearly fans of mine. And then they said, our dad wants to meet you. And I turned around, and Paul Ryan was walking towards me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, listen to the audience.
Oh, my God. A creature from the Black Lagoon.
Paul Ryan.
And Paul Ryan was walking towards me.
Oh, okay. How'd that go?
Well, I didn't. My whole body puckered, as it were. I tensed up. And I and I didn't know what to do. And he came over, just grabbed my hand, and I'm shaking his hand. I don't know what to do. And he said, "Can I have a picture with you?" And I look over, and his kids are standing right there, expectantly, clearly fans of mine. And I said, "No way, man."
And I understand, because it would be horrible for his political career, or for his acting career, if that got out. So I totally agree he should not do it. But wow, the response from the audience is fantastic.
And I couldn't stop. And I said, furthermore, I hate what you're doing to the country at this moment. And I count the days till you no longer have one iota of the power that you currently have.
And I don't believe that for a second that he said that. Bull crap.
I believe you're right. I think it's bull crap. In fact, stop. In fact, I'll bet you, the most logical thing to do in that situation, unless he has absolutely zero grace and he's a total asshole, which doesn't, it's possible. But what you do in that situation, you explain why you don't want the picture taken, and it would be accepted.
No, he doubled down.
Pretty much the
he's
same
brave.
way Sarah Sanders left a restaurant. She heard what the woman had to say. She said, "Okay, I'm out of here."
And I look over at his kids are still standing right there. And I feel very conflicted about this at this moment.
Because it's not their fault.
It's not their fault, but at the same time, they should probably learn that if they like a movie or song, the person who made that probably doesn't like their dad that much.
Virtue signal much?
Unless they were watching Roseanne reruns or something like that, then maybe. But in that instance, so I felt very, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm glad I didn't take a picture with Paul Ryan. My hand I touched him, so I don't know how I feel about that. Yes. But, and I don't know, his kids seem lovely and very Caucasian. And that is mostly my takeaway from the thing.
So that was the big payoff, is you get to do a Caucasian bit at the end? So what was he? What was the whiteness about?
By the way, if he had his act together, he would have said, "I won't take a picture with you because it would hurt my career." To be honest about, but I have a picture. You can take a picture of me with your kids.
Yeah, I just thought the whole white thing was very odd. I didn't understand.
I think the guy's an a-hole for any of that whole story. And why is he telling that story in the first place? You talk about virtue signaling, but this is not the kind of thing that you brag about. The fact that you're rude. You were invited as a guest to a situation.
He was speaking truth to power.
Truth to power? I don't want my picture taken? What kind of truth is that?
No, then he said, "I hate what you do. I can't wait till you're gone." That's truth to power. Truth to power.
It's opinion to power, if anything.
Yeah. I found the whole thing very...
That's very disturbing.
Yeah, just like, what are you trying to communicate?
Yeah, it's bordering on sick.
Yeah, it is.
Huh. Well, that's a good... I'll give you a borderline clip of the day for that.
Oh, I hadn't even inspected that, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Borderline clip of the day.
On a similar note, it reminds me of this. I just have a teaser. This is like a classic teasers, ABC teasing. This is the ABC rolls out Flake and Gutierrez. They're going to tease this. They're going to start discussing something with Stephanopoulos, and they tease it with this little gem.
And more on the national debate over immigration tomorrow on This Week, when George goes one-on-one with Senator Jeff Flake and Representative Luis Gutierrez.
Okay. Jeff Flake hates Trump. He's quitting. He doesn't even really a Republican. And Gutierrez, we know him. He's always bitching and moaning. He hates Trump. Why don't they try to put some balanced characters on here? Maybe somebody that has some logical explanation for what's going on. No, they're just bringing two haters on. But one's a Democrat and one's a Republican. That's balance. Who are they kidding? Do they think they're fooling anybody?
Yes, they are fooling lots of people, for sure. And then I'll end with that before our C block here. Speaking of fooling people, have you seen the Netflix documentary Sour Grapes?
No, not yet.
You know what it's about?
No, tell me.
It's about this kid, I guess Asian kid, turns out I think it was from Indonesia, who was, this must have been 2014, 15, I think. He was living it up in the wine scene, and he was buying at auction really expensive, it's a Burgundy, I forget which one it is. But he was buying all kinds of wine, and he was successfully bidding up the prices were rising. It was a little bit earlier than 2015. He was bidding up the prices, and then he turned around and he sold his entire wine cellar for $35 million. For a number of bottles went to Bill Koch, who then discovered that they were fake. And it turns out this kid, created tens of thousands.
He's not a kid.
This dude.
Everyone in the wine business knows this guy.
Okay, well, that's what the documentary is about.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're pretty familiar with the story. He's a fake. He phonied up wines. He was a counterfeiter.
Yeah, but it was really interesting. I figured you would have for sure seen it.
No, I haven't seen it. I know the story, though.
No. So do you think that you might have some of his fake wine?
No, I don't collect that sort of wine. Those are extremely high-end auction-style wines that show up on auction blocks, and they go for thousands of dollars. It wouldn't even happen. And I'm thinking a lot of cheap wines are counterfeit from Bordeaux. I've always known this.
Really?
Yeah, this has been going on forever.
Well, I'm thinking maybe there's a business. You got nice printers.
I'm not going to make counterfeit wine.
Hey, I'm just trying to get out of this podcasting gig.
I'm going to show my skill by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1045. 1045, starting with Anonymous in Portland, Oregon, who comes in with $150. This list is actually probably not that much longer than the executive producer list. I do want to read this letter. You guys are awesome. I work in information security at an electric company in Portland, so I need all the sanity possible, as diversity and inclusion doesn't seem to involve me. I would send more, but I don't make much. Anyway. Samuel Lichtenstein in New York City, $141.49. And he has a little note for you.
Okay.
Mark Hall in Austin, Texas, $133.33. I don't think Mark listens to the show. Matthew McGreevy.
Mark listens to the show all the time.
Oh, okay, good. Matthew McGreevy, $131 in Davenport, Iowa. Caleb Crossman in Salem, Oregon, $116.67. James Briscoe in Bayshore, New York, $112. Anonymous, $101.01 in Oakland, 1 cent. This is a fan from Jack London Square. Angela Castaneda.
Oh, Dame Angela from Las Wages.
101.
Nice. I think she has a gig for me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, an actual gig.
Well, like, what would a gig consist of?
I think it's like an industrial.
Speech or
video. You
going to do a video?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, think about Vegas.
Vegas, dude.
They're going to put me there. Come to Vegas. Yeah, airlines are just chock-a-block booked up now.
Kurt, $100. Kurt from Illinois, to be honest about it. Ian Field, or Ian, as I like to call him.
Well, he's from GB, so it could be.
Ian. Melchior von der Decken.
Melchior. Is that right? Melchior von der Decken from the Czech Republic.
It is the Czech Republic.
Nice. Thank you, Melchior.
Just hope all the douchebags step up their game.
Thanks, Mel.
Sir Craig Porter, and he, by the way, he came in at 8008, which is
boob.
Sir Craig Porter came in at boob. Here's a boob for you, he says. Hope this helps you through the summer doldrums. Sir Herb Lamb, same thing, 8008. Baron Craig Kuttner in Norwalk, Connecticut, 73s. Okay, call sign somewhere. Peter Kammerer in St. Louis, Missouri, 69. Richard Chow, 69, parts unknown. Pete Tangney, 69 in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Baron Mark Tanner, 66 in Whittier. He's got some code going on I haven't figured out yet. Dave Fugazotto, 65, which he says is small boobs.
Huh.
I guess the 5 would be an S for boobs, and they're very close set.
Yeah.
Wesley Stewart, 6009. And with some jobs karma at the end. The show for my broke-ass millennial son, Mike. William Alston, Bothell, Washington, 6006. And he needs some finding apartment karma. We'll put that at the end, too. Anthony Rodriguez in Faber, Virginia, 6006. Bert Bertens in Best, Netherlands. Is it pronounced Best?
Best, yep. It's called Best. Just as the best. Better be best.
Adam Ward, 5533 in the UK. Stephen Smith, 5510. Double Dickers on the dime. Sir Carl Hebberger in Rochester, New York, 5510. David C. Pugh, 5510. Egghead, I guess, AIGH head, in Dayton, Ohio, 5510. Eric Ross, 55 in Corona, California. Dame Heather of Love and Light in Reading, Berkshire, UK. Sir Phenom in Appleton, Wisconsin, 5353. Sir Alexander Scott, helper of the man something. I don't have helper of the man from afar. 5038. Jeffrey Anderson in Stuart, Florida, 5024. And the following people are $50 donors, name and location. James Butcher in Dalwallanu, Western Australia. Mitchell Kaufman in Hillsboro, Oregon. Kenneth Lindbergh in Miami, Florida. Troy Funk in Leander, Texas. Anonymous. Wesley O. Wilkerson. Love the show. Michael Kleckner in Ewing, New Jersey. John Studebaker. Fabulous name. Another detective's name. In Bradenton, Florida. He's in Florida where the detective novels are written. Brendan Mink in Tempe, Arizona. I think Sir Brendan, I believe. Scott Knightswander in Waterville, Ohio. Paul Gabrielson in Arroyo Grande, California. He's going from BC. He's going through Port Angeles to BC. Send me a note. I'll send you some tips on what to do in Victoria. Victoria is the greatest town on the West Coast. Sir Patrick Maycom in New York City. Alexa Delgato in Aptos, California rounds out our donors for show 1045. These are the producers for show 1045.
Yeah, great showing. Great showing. Thank you all very much. And nice to see so many, as I said earlier, nice to see so many people coming back after a year.
Yes.
There should be some regularity in it.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah. Well, we do it because you enable us to do it, and that goes for everyone who comes in under $50 as well. Many of you on our sustaining donations, our subscriptions, please check those out as well. Make sure that if you have a subscription that you still have it. Often PayPal likes to just cancel that, blame it on us, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but they do blame it on us. Check that. And remember, we have another show coming up on Thursday. You will remember that at
Dvorak.org/NA.
And the Jobs Karma as requested.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's your birthday.
All right, we got a list of birthdays for today. It is the 24th of June, in the year of our Lord 2018. We say, Steve Chester says happy birthday to Sharon. She turns 47 today. Sir Dan Blake says happy birthday to his smoking hot Ann. She celebrated on the 23rd. And Chris Gill says happy birthday to Kaya. She celebrates today. And Sean McClellan also today. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes.
Two title changes on deck for today. Sir Abel Kirby sent in a note and a donation that brings him up to Baronet, and Survive of the Virtual Reality adds to his title Baronet Work of the OTG Slaves. And we thank both of you gentlemen for supporting the best podcast in the universe. Remember us for that at Dvorak.org/NA. No nights today, but good showing. We really do appreciate it.
Now entering second half of show.
Oh no! Yeah, and it really came after the second half of show. I figured we've got to get into this a little bit, because I take Trump pretty seriously when he says stuff, even though it sounds wacky. I mean, remember he was telling everybody. Well, he's told a lot of things, but I've been wiretapped. They were spying on me, and how long did everyone laugh about that? I mean, months.
Long time, yes.
Months. And it turns out it was true. You know, they were spying on him. I'm sorry, using confidential informants, and there were wiretaps. But even that notion seemed completely impossible. So when he comes out with
Space Force,
you know, and I went back. I just wanted to listen to a couple of the clips where he's talking about the Space Force, but really came from Tina, who, you know, as I'd mentioned earlier, she's pretty convinced now at this point we're all looking around, squirrel left, squirrel right, and all of a sudden the aliens are going to show up. And I think she has a reasonable level of belief that could happen. And we're seeing more and more stories. It's cyclical. It goes, you know, starts with the Disclosure Project, and YouTube is filled with stuff. But this Space Force thing, I also got a note from one of our producers, which kind of spurred me on to look at this. Ahoy! I'm hearing folks getting rattled up about Space Force remarks. I did want to share a couple of things. Space Force.
Space Force.
In 2001, I enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. During morning physical training routines, the training instructors, the TIs, the Army equivalent of a drill instructor, would yell, "Air power!" At which point the entire squadron would reply, "Space power, AEF!" And AEF is Aerospace Expeditionary Forces, a component of the Air and Space Expeditionary Force deployment scope. This wasn't a one-time cadence. This was something we would get repeated countless numbers of times daily. It was ingrained from the start for all airmen, at least those of us in the 320th and 322nd training squadrons at the time.
You sure he just wasn't an extra in the Starship Troopers movie?
No, because we've been reading about this. We've been reading in the National Defense Authorization Acts, all of this stuff for space. We were talking about space wars, 8 years ago, when we had Chinese satellites bumping at other satellites out of the way. So let's just revisit a couple of these Space Force quotes from Trump. This is this was from March.
In space, the United States is going to do Colonel Glenn proud. We are finally going to lead again. You see what's happening. You see the rockets going up left and right. You haven't seen that for a long time. Very soon we're going to Mars. You wouldn't have been going to Mars if my opponent won. That I can tell you. You wouldn't even be thinking about it. You wouldn't be thinking about it. My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a Space Force.
Space Force.
Develop another one. Space Force. We have the Air Force. We'll have the Space Force. We have the Army, the Navy. You know, I was saying it the other day because we're doing a tremendous amount of work in space. I said, maybe we need a new force. We'll call it the Space Force. And I was not really serious. And then I said, what a great idea. Maybe we'll have to do that. That could happen.
All right. So I think this is that was at a rally, and then here he is with the cadets. Similar message.
My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a Space Force. We'll develop another one. Space Force. We have the Air Force. We'll have the Space Force. We have the Army, the Navy.
It's exact same thing.
So
when we went to the
other day,
So, you know, then he says at a certain point, we're much further ahead than everyone thinks, even though we're way behind. It's typical Trump doublespeak, no idea what he's talking about. But in his head, I think there's something going on. Now, for sure, when he says, you see rockets going up left and right, no, I don't. I see Elon Musk. What other rockets are going up left and right? Yeah, there's always the reconnaissance agency. They're shooting up an Atlas V, to throw another satellite. But, there really hasn't been a lot of space activity. NASA has shrunk, as far as I know. A lot of the budget has gone to commercial companies like SpaceX. Are we really doing anything in space? Have we done anything significant?
Well, no, not that. I mean, there's been different things left and right. It could be. I have no idea. Maybe this rocket is being shot off that we don't know about.
So, for conspiracy-minded like myself, one of the main questions whenever you start talking about space is, and I am very clear that there is no evidence that satisfies me that we actually landed on the moon. And it's too bad that NASA lost the original recordings of the landing on the moon. Would have helped maybe, but those are gone. But why haven't we gone back to the moon since what was the last 76? Was that the last moon landing?
I thought it was 72.
72 maybe. Yeah, 72. Why did 76? We did something maybe it was Skylab, but 72 the last time we landed on the moon. And I found an interview with the expert on all things space from Earth, and that is of course Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he was asked the question, I think this was from Joe Rogan. He was asked the question, why haven't we been back to space since 1972?
No, it's 76. You're right.
It was 76?
Yeah, no soft landings happening from 22nd of August. Let's see, 69, numerous unmanned. Okay, no, 72, then unmanned landings after 72.
Okay. But the question remains, I'm not expecting you to know the absolute answer, but it begs questioning, why have we not returned to the moon since 1972? What do you think?
What do I think if I was going to speculate on and understand?
No, if you were Neil deGrasse Tyson, you're going to give a definitive answer.
Oh, okay. If I was Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'd say the moon turns out to be an artificial satellite that's hollow, which is why there's no deep holes in it from strikes from asteroids. And we're worried about we've apparently got people inside controlling it, and so we've got done it. We don't want to mess that up.
Are you just mocking me now? Do you have any idea yourself, John C. Dvorak, as a technologist, why we would not have been to the moon? It seems like we could do more.
It's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. That's the reason?
And too expensive.
It's
Saturn V rockets, those things are like, we don't even make that rocket anymore.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson's answer is much more modern than you would expect.
When we went to the moon, everyone assumed, because of the way it was marketed, there was the profiles in Life magazine of each of the astronauts, and you saw their families, and the president said we should do it, and it was this grand mission from NASA, a civilian space agency, and the World's Fair in New York, 1964, was all about inventing a future. So we were living that romance. All right. What we were not reminding ourselves is that the only reason why we went to the moon is because we were at war with Russia, with the Soviet Union. That is the only reason at all.
Now, are you buying this?
Well, we weren't at war with Russia. We were in a space race.
Yep.
Which wasn't war by any means.
If you don't carry that motivation with you, and you're only thinking that this is simply the next technological thing to do, that when we learn that Russia's not going to the moon, therefore we have no reason to continue, and we stop, you then you cry foul and you say, well, wait a minute, how about the future? How about Mars? And how about the rest of that? Well, the rest of that was not ever in the plan unless Mars had planned to, unless Russia had planned to do it. And so it was not a natural flow of what our technology would have done because it didn't flow out of our economic creativity. It came out of our urge to not die. And so when you have that scenario, of course we didn't go past the moon after 1972. we were no longer competing with Russia to do that. In fact, most of what we did in space was reactive to Russia. We were not the first in space. Russia was. We weren't the first to send a life form into space. Russia was. Russia sent a dog. We weren't the first humans in space. Russians were. Russians even put the first black person in space. It was a Cuban cosmonaut. The achievements in space. What we did, we got to the moon first. And then we said, we win. And so we have repainted that era in our memory as we are the pioneers, and we did it because we explore. No, we did it because that's a nice after-the-fact window dressing you can put on that achievement, but we did it because we were at war. There's no... Once you understand that, it allows you to understand why we stopped.
Oh, understand? That's some psyops right there that he just put down. Once you understand it was about Russia. So it's about Russia.
Well, hold on a second. It doesn't even make any sense. Let's just go through the history of it. Why would you stop in 1972?
Because apparently we were
still at war. We stayed at war with Russia until the wall fell, which is during the George H.W. Bush administration.
88.
Yeah, 88, 89, yeah. So what happened in all those years in between?
Because it's bull crap, John. But it's not that we can't do it. The more I look at it, and by the way, the Air Force has had a space command for a long time. But now, and I'm just going to say it makes nothing but sense now that we once again are at war with Russia. I guess Russia is doing stuff, so we have to have our Space Force. But in this case, it's not going to be a part of anything. It's going to be equal but separate. So it will be as equal as the Air Force, as the Navy, but completely separate.
How about this? The Russians in 1972, after going to the moon a number of times, and the Russians and the Americans together discovered that these aliens, which Tina thinks is going to attack any minute, were out to get us. And we joined forces with the Russians to set up various phony baloney operations that looked like it was against each other, but it was all targeting the Russians, hence blowing up some of the biggest nuclear weapons in the atmosphere up in the ionosphere to just close their portals. And that's the reason we stopped going to the moon, because we don't need to. And in fact, it was dangerous because they're already made bases up there.
But see, yes. And it goes beyond bases. Yes, it goes beyond bases, and I think I can back it up to some degree. First of all, I think that we didn't stop. Do you remember that kid who got arrested and then extradited for breaking into a Department of Defense computer, and he published stuff that he had found? Gary McKinnon. He hacked into U.S. Space Command computers.
Right, they got thrown in jail forever.
Yes, and he had non-terrestrial officers. They found documents about fleet-to-fleet transfers. And here it comes, and I want our producers to be on the lookout for Solar Warden. The theory goes, and it goes quite deep, and I'm following this thread because it's pretty interesting to me, is that in this late 70s, mid 70s, for the general public, we said, yeah, we're stopping, but that's actually where we were breaking through, and we have a space force. We've had a space force as a part of Solar Warden.
So you're saying perhaps that these secret defense or these NSA or some of these phony baloney missions, they have this big payload sitting on top of these rockets, and they can't say what it is because it's a spy satellite or whatever. It's actually potentially another mission to the moon. They're just
no. It's way beyond the moon. No, so our solar system is protected by Solar Warden, and we allow certain alien races to go through and certain not, and that's what the Solar Warden is about. Let me just put it to you this way: what is our budget this year for the military? $700 billion.
It seems like a lot.
Where is it going? Do you see $700 billion worth of shit? No. I know where it's going. And finally hit me. Once you take it out of NASA, once you understand that this is all Department of Defense, where there's already $3 trillion that can't be accounted for, where is that money going? It's not just being burned up by the Rand Corporation, a bunch of guys smoking cigars, stroking white pussies. No. It's going into space. And this really follows in, not for today, but I'm going to bring more about solar. I'm going
to let you go on this. It makes some sense when you think about the fact that we're always freaked out about China and their war capabilities. And when you look at the budgets, it's like, why are we freaked out about anybody? We have a budget, a military budget, that is the combined more than the combined budget of all militaries of all nations. China, Russia, everybody put together, UK, EU, everybody. Ours is bigger.
Yes.
Combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah, you have to ask, what the hell are we spending this stuff on?
But everyone's underpaid. They don't have the materiel. The planes don't work. The F-30, the strike fighter.
They're always bitching because
work.
They're complaining a lot.
That's a lot of money to just be importing poppy seeds from Afghanistan. That would kind of defeat the purpose of making money on drug trade. I'm sure there's a lot of it in there, and maybe a lot of that funds other things.
Well, actually, if you think about, if I'm going to go with your argument, we have, because this budget is so enormous that the CIA, for example, is supposed to be getting a lot of money. They're not getting enough money, so they have to go sell poppies, sell heroin to the EU to keep themselves going.
And thank you. This is very good. You just completed my thinking. That's why I was a little disappointed when the Federation of Planets guy, one of our donors, I thought he actually was sending it from some because I think there are organizations, and there's documented evidence of intergalactic organizations and agreements.
Well, there's a lot of good YouTube videos, let's put it that way.
But here's what I'm predicting. I think that this Trump Space Force thing, he is going to start letting us in on the joke. He's going to start leaking. It's going to be in his words. He's going to talk about little things. And then maybe we'll see some more videos. We'll have a little more serious reports.
Boom, boom.
We'll have a little more serious reports of UFO sightings. I really do think it's time that we're being prepared. If there ever was a president who could introduce the world to the truth,
it would be this guy.
That would be this guy. And it would work because half the people would go, "Oh, Space Force, yeah," and the other half would really think he's lost his marbles. So it would remain a question for all time, and yet the truth would be out. I'm hopeful.
Space Force.
But this may be the reason the intelligence agencies are so
irked,
or they're beside themselves, or they don't know if it's a good time, and I don't know. I would recommend. I'm not a buyer of any of this, but I like it. And I think people should definitely go read Philip Corso's book.
Yeah, The Day After Roswell.
Yes, that's a book that you can't even discuss any of this until you read that book.
Well, I've read it. And we have a couple of producers in Utah who have worked on facilities. Oh, their stories were very believable. Very believable.
Well, it's like, say, well, if this was true, somebody'd be saying something. Because you can't keep a secret that well. People are saying lots of things.
Yeah.
It's not as though anyone's trying to keep a secret. I mean, just go on YouTube and you can spend months listening to guys that seem to know one thing or another, and it's that just belies the you can't keep a secret. Nobody would. If this was true, no one would, you'd hear about it. And yes, you're hearing about it.
Yeah, and when it comes to science, which a lot of people like to point to, it doesn't make a lot of scientific sense that we're the only ball here that has people on it or beings.
Well,
that doesn't. Yeah,
I don't bring that into the conversation.
No, but so I'm on the lookout for subtle clues. I'm looking for more. Project Bluebeam was always something that we've talked about, and that may be completely. All of this may be a big hoax. I don't know, but
pretty elaborate hoax.
It's very elaborate, and I'm just following the money. All this money goes to the Defense Department, and it's got to be going somewhere. And yeah, you're right. We see big rockets go up, supply chains, of course, repairs, stuff like that. But I think when we truly start to find out a bit about it, and Trump may just be irking everybody. He wants to release the information, like, I'm going to tell everybody. I hope he gets to tell something. He must know now.
Now, a lot of the presidents weren't read in, according to Corso.
Right, but JFK was. I thought JFK was read in.
I don't know. I don't remember JFK being read in. Apparently, Reagan was read in.
Well, it started with Reagan. Reagan started literally the Star Wars project. I mean, go look at the history of it. A lot of money.
The Star Wars project. Yes, he did. I mean, if you're going to go there, but Eisenhower was read in because he demanded to see Area 51 and everything else.
Yes.
So Eisenhower was read in. That means Nixon was definitely read in because Nixon's the one who supposedly drove Jackie Gleason, and you can look this anecdote up.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah.
Drove Jackie Gleason to the alien storage facility to show him a bunch of dead aliens, and which apparently freaked Gleason out. And then after that, it's sketchy whether anyone was read in or not. So...
Anyway,
this is very speculative.
I have my eyes open, and I think that we are going to start. No, we're going. I listen to this guy, and everything he says has some kernel of truth in it somewhere, even if distorted. It's his own truth. But this one, he's just it's out there too much. Something's happening. Something's popping. I just can feel it.
Now entering second half of show.
No, exiting, actually.
Exiting. You're not exiting. We're back. Oh no.
Oh no. Hey, remember when we had a clip of Steve Pachenik saying that North Korea was just the beginning of the trifecta of agreements, and that Bashar al-Assad would also want to talk with Trump and have him at the table, and maybe even do something with North Korea because of types of stuff they have in the earth and they could exchange with each other. So I've also been, keeping track of Bashar al-Assad, who does quite a few interviews, usually with British media, but he's always pretty willing to sit down and talk to people. And here he is about Trump. And you tell me what your impression is of what he's actually saying with this.
One of the main players is the United States. And Trump made his meeting in Singapore with Kim. Recently, Iran told that we will never meet with Trump because Kim is not Muslim. He doesn't understand what's going on. We'll never talk to Trump, ever. Will you, if it will be necessary, meet Trump directly or indirectly? Do you think that it's necessary for you to talk to Trump?
We believe that discussing or talking or negotiating with your adversary, and any other one, of course, is productive. But in this case, it's always, since we had the first negotiation with the United States in 1974, we never achieved anything in any subject. The problem with the American president that they are hostages to their lobbies, to the mainstream media, to the huge corporations, financial, oil, armaments, etc. So they can tell you whatever you want to hear, but they will do the opposite. And this is the case, and it's getting worse and worse, and Trump is a very stark example. So talking and discussing with the American now for no reason, without achieving anything, it's just a waste of time. We're not happy to talk with the Americans just because they are American. We are ready to discuss with anyone who could be productive, and we don't believe that the American politics will be different in the foreseeable future. So it's just, again, waste of time now.
I think he's fishing. I think he's fishing for a meeting.
By being
well, he's kind of saying American
counterpuncher. Hey, I don't want to meet.
Yeah, he's saying I don't want to meet. And American presidents always, because
they're all going to be the same. They're all.
No, he's saying they're driven by the mainstream media. That's the one thing Trump is not.
By lobbyists.
Lobbyists.
He says.
Fine, lobbyists. Okay, another thing Trump was not driven by.
He doesn't want to meet, being contrarian. He doesn't want to meet with Trump because they're all the same. Nothing's going to change. And Trump, that's a challenge to Trump because as far as Trump's concerned, he's different.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
Who knows? I know. I'm just keeping these things, just watching them. Watching them.
All right. Well, I have since you're talking about this kind of thing, let's talk about this. Let's do an update on the Taliban because we got to keep things, people listen to this show for kind of a generalized look at things.
In Afghanistan, Taliban fighters killed 30 government soldiers in the first attack since the end of a 3-day ceasefire. Officials said that the militants assaulted 2 checkpoints at a town in Badghis province. Then they ambushed reinforcements as they arrived.
So
Yes.
Getting the upper hand. And we're not getting any reports of any of this, and it has to do with the poppy field somehow.
They must be protected at all cost. Don't you have a Krauthammer thing? I wanted to talk about Krauthammer before we go.
This is from Krauthammer. Was a very interesting guy because he unlike George Will and the other so-called conservative columnists, he never really fully turned on Trump. But he was a neocon, and somebody pointed out that he signed that declaration or whatever it is.
Was he a part of that of the Project for a New American Century?
Well, he supposedly may or may not have signed that document, but he was already in that camp, and he admits it. I don't know why everyone's so stunned by this, but let's listen to I got two clips. One's an archive you don't want to play, obviously. Let's play a crowd so we get a feeling for what this guy's coming from. He is a classic neocon, which is a Democrat in sheep's clothing because he got the Democrat Party changed just enough that it pushed people into the Republican Party, and the neocons are all actually ex-liberals, all of them, and they tend to hate Trump because they're liberals. They're basically liberals. Let's play Krauthammer on neocons.
Is there a label that you could have put on yourself in 1980?
Oh, yes. At that point, I was what you might have called a Henry Jackson Democrat. I was a Cold War liberal. I was a believer in the Great Society, but I was also a believer in a tough approach to the Soviet Union, which means I had pretty much of a home in the Democratic Party at the time. You had Pat Moynihan, you had Henry Jackson, the great senator from Washington State, and later on that element of the Democratic Party shrunk to nothingness. And as it did, I was without a home. I remained generally without a political home, but you could obviously fairly call me a neoconservative now.
Now, because we talk a lot about the conservative, neoconservative, what's the difference between being a neoconservative and a conservative?
There are several distinctions. One has to do with personal history. Neoconservatives generally are people who started out as liberals, and as the dean of neoconservatism, Irving Kristol, once said, was mugged by reality, and they evolve in time into conservatism. So that's number one. If you ask a neoconservative, how did you vote in 1968, a seminal year, he'd say Lyndon Johnson. If you ask a conservative, in 1964, he would say Lyndon Johnson, and a conservative would say Goldwater. So that's one distinction. The second is that because of that, neoconservatives carry over some of the idealism, if you like, and objectives of liberalism, which means they want, for instance, in foreign affairs, there is a critique by conservatives of neoconservatives, which is that neoconservatives are too utopian, Wilsonian, if you like. We want to revolutionize the world. We want to democratize the world, and the answer is yes. What distinguishes us from liberals is that we don't rely on the institutions that liberals rely on, the UN, treaties, and all that Wilsonian stuff. We believe in power, American power in particular. But what distinguishes us from other conservatives, or more traditional conservatives, they are more likely to be realists. They're not interested in the governance of other countries, if it's a democracy or not. They're just interested in how the government acts in relation to the United States. They're interested in national interest. They're not interested in constructing democracies abroad.
This puts Krauthammer in a very different light for me.
And why is this?
I did not know, and I'm looking at it now, that he indeed was a signatory on the Project for a New American
Well, I don't have
century.
the clip, but on here he's asked about that, and he says he doesn't remember signing it. He would have signed it. He doesn't deny that.
Well,
he doesn't remember ever actually signing it.
Right. Well, I'm looking at a PDF, and it is signed.
He signed it.
Yeah, he's signed. Yeah. It's signed. And here's the part that I've always taken exception to in this document. Americans were looking, and this is from their written document that he signed off on. Americans were looking forward to a peace divided after 45 years of Cold War spending. So PNAC concluded that Americans must experience a crisis, a new Pearl Harbor attack.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what they were calling for, that we needed to experience that kind of crisis.
9/11.
Yeah, and yes, and this was not long before 9/11 that this document came out.
Coincidence?
I think not. But Krauthammer, he didn't seem
that was It was always Krauthammer's position. That's why he would.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
He could manage to be, to talk to the conservative audience, but he was actually really a strong, like all the neocons, very strong liberals. They believed in democracy everywhere, one world government. He never says that, but one world government is exactly what he wanted, because he was one of those types. Now, I want to bring in the second clip, which is his. Now, this was recorded in 2005, and I want to play this clip because this is the neoliberal expressing, like he says, they were utopian. They're kind of a utopian. They're warmongers. Let me say one other thing. I was a Democrat, and I switched over to the Republican Party. I'm now unaffiliated after being an independent for a while. But I did it for a different reason. The Democratic Party gave up, like he said, they gave up on this Jacksonian, Henry Jackson type of, kind of a warmongering liberals is the way I'd put it. I mean, this would be Lyndon Johnson, Vietnam, all this stuff. Yay,
right.
More war.
Makes total sense for that time that you would feel that way, sure.
And they said, and I was anti-war, and I was pro-labor, and I was pro-middle class. I was all the things that the Democrat Party also gave up on to become elitists. And the Republican Party wasn't pro-labor or anything like that. There's no doubt about that. And they weren't anti-war by any means, but they have slowly evolved toward that because everybody quit the other party because they sold out. They were co-opted. And so, but it was for different reasons that they moved over. And the neocons are seen as kind of an enemy within because they're not Republicans by any stretch of the imagination. And because of their utopianism, I want to play, this is what he felt like in 2005. This is classic neocon thinking and how wrong they were. And I don't believe that Krauthammer ever came to grips with what he's about to say.
The current president, history will determine. I think he ranks high now.
He's talking about Obama? No,
he's talking about the current president in 2005, Bush.
But ultimately, I've always had a sense that you can argue all you want, you write all you want, but in the end, history will decide who was right and who was wrong. You can suggest in your argument that the war in Iraq was right, the war in Afghanistan was right. But we'll learn in 10 years or so if Iraq was a success. I think it will be. And assuming that this Bush doctrine of changing the Middle East, changing the culture of the area as an answer to 9/11 and as a way to prevent a new 9/11, I think is correct. But again, it's a theory. It's being tested on the ground as we speak. And I think if it works out in Iraq and Lebanon, places like that, I think he'll be ranked very high, perhaps as high as Reagan.
Yo, how'd that work out? Man.
There you go.
I didn't realize that, he came across very differently in the past couple of years that I've followed him. I liked him. I how he thought.
He's also confronted with the reality that he just expressed in 2005.
Yeah.
We have to wait 10 years. Well, we've waited 13 years from then.
It didn't work out
and
that well.
And it didn't work out like the way you guys hoped, did it?
Right.
So, I always enjoyed his material because he was very thoughtful and he did present arguments you wouldn't hear anyplace else. It was valuable for the thought process.
Yeah.
But, another neocon.
Tina's going to be crushed.
Was she a big fan?
Oh, she liked him very much. She likes Kraut, Brit Hume. She really likes Brit Hume. I like Brit Hume. Brit Hume. And that's about it. That's about it.
She should like the No Agenda show, and then
she loves the No Agenda show. You kidding me? She loves the No Agenda. What?
Excuse me, Adam. The symphony orchestra you ordered, it's tuned and waiting for you.
Okay, perfect. That means it's time to go, John. The symphony's waiting for me.
I'll bet. We got to catch a plane.
Something like that. But we will return. Right. We will return. And hopefully we'll be one step closer to a Brexit World Cup. See how the UK does, if England can stay in.
Yeah, never know.
We'd be hoping they go against the Mannschaft. for a Brexit World Cup. That's what I'm counting on so far. But until that time on Thursday, I'll keep my eyes peeled. You do so as well, John, and all of the producers out there. It is, after all, a show day. Crazy things happen. Coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region 6 on the governmental maps, in the 5x9 Cludio, in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, we've had a hot week, and it's clear and hot and nice, actually nice evenings up here in northern Silicon Valley. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos! I need a cab.
Hey!
Donate to No Agenda. They give us shows week after week. Donate to No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
My heart, there's so many memes about Russia and what Trump is trying to hide. Conway and Spicer say things are nicer than what they're willing to confide. So many dudes think that this is just fake news. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the Russia connection, the Donald, the Putin, and we. La, 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 la.
I have a really great replacement. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Daryl Hammond. The old people. You just watch what I do and I think you'll be blown away.
Oh, yeah. We about to make you drunk.
And live from New York.
Only for the hardcore.
Boom, boom.
Strictly for the headstrong. Are you ready?
But I guarantee you, it's the best. I just learned yesterday. It's Saturday night. Drunk, 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 boom, boom, drunk, 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 drunk. It's huge. Drunk, 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 drunk. Drunk, drunk, it's drunk, drunk, it's huge. Drunk, 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 drunk. First, nobody puts me on the spot. The ratings, bong boom, are gonna be huge. Bong boom, bong boom, and boom, they're back. Bong boom. Most of you know who I am already because I'm rich and I'm handsome. Bong boom. Second, I could buy and sell you and your little freak show dog and pony act, whatever this is. Especially if the party nominates a joke candidate. About a man who kicks ass and makes a ton of money. I can beat all of them. Bong boom. He said it doesn't matter. Bong boom. Because I'm golden, you loser. Trump, 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 boom, Trump, 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 bong boom, Trump, 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 Trump. Mexicans are stealing our Jews. Trump, 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 Trump. Bong boom. Bong boom. Mexican citizen, Mexican citizen, Mexican citizen. Mexican, Mexican citizen, Mexican, Mexican. You're fired.
best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Someone's getting cornholed today.
Sounds like a recipe for success to me.